What's going on? What's going on, people? You good? How's it going? Everything's good. Just get these little things done and then we'll get good to go. How are we all doing? Salute to you as well. Dante's Double Cheeseburger Nation. I like your name. Salute to you, brother. Hope everyone's good. How's everyone going? Guys, while you're in the live stream, on the live stream, smash that like button, guys. I'd appreciate it. Smash that like button for me. What's going on, Adam? My good friend Adam, how are you? How's it going, everyone? I hope everyone's keeping well. I hope everything is good on your end. Corey, the movie junkie, what's going on? I'm good, brother. How are you? Can you do a breakdown of Crawford v. Porter? Yeah, I think it's a great fight, man. I think it's Porter's going to bring, the pain as he always does. Stance switch, keep it real as always, bro. Thank you, Stance switch. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I think Crawford Porter is a good fight. Don't get me wrong. I think Crawford will basically rip Porter apart. To be honest with you, I think he'll dismantle him. I think Porter will bring the heat, but I just think Crawford will take him apart. I think Porter's had a lot of fights, and he might be on the other side of the road now. He's been fairly inactive, not really fought stiff competition, to be honest, since Spence. And that was, how long ago was the Spence fight? That was 2018, I believe, wasn't it? Wasn't Spence 2018? That's ages ago. So, yeah, his last fight against Formella, he didn't look too great, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I think Crawford will tear him apart, if I'm honest with you. I think Crawford's the real deal, man. People don't give him the credit, and people think, he's some kind of hype job. He's not. He's special. So that's my opinion on that fight. I think Crawford might even stop him later down. People think that it's not possible. It is possible when Crawford brings the pain and, he starts dismantling you. I think Crawford could. Crawford seems he's got the bit between his teeth right now. 2019, not 18. Yeah, even then, it's still what he fought in 2019 September, which was what, almost over 2 years. So by the time he gets in the ring with Crawford, it's going to be probably 2.5 years after that. So yeah, it's a long time, man. Felix, is a long time to be inactive against a world-class opponent. He's not really fought anybody for a while. But yeah, getting back to the Canelo stuff. I don't know with this Canelo situation what's going on. The reasons that have been put forward are crazy. I don't understand the reasons that they've put forward, or that Caleb Plant's come with, is definitely weird to me. It's okay, Vector, you want to hop on? Okay, let me just all right. Let me just get this sorted for you. Command V. There you go. There's the link. But yeah, it's the reasons that Caleb Plant has said. I just don't think they're reasons to derail a fight of that magnitude. I don't know. I just found it strange reading the reasons. They didn't really seem any, it didn't really add up to me, to be honest with you. The reasons that were given, just there weren't they didn't make sense, to be honest. Didn't make sense at all. We've got Makai, who's entered the live stream again. Makai, how are you?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You alright, mate? How are you?
Yeah, good, not bad.
You always come on live on the perfect time when I can join. It's great.
Yeah. It's probably I probably do it intentionally because I know that there's going to be people free at this time.
Yeah, it's not about 9, so yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So we had the news yesterday about Canelo and Plant's obviously given his reasons why. What did you make of the reasons that were given? I'll get it up in a minute.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be that reason. It was obviously if Canelo gets sick or injured, Plant will have to wait, and then if Plant does, then Canelo has to get a replacement. Wasn't that it?
Yeah, something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Basically, let me just read it out. Let me read
yeah,
out the statement. Let me read out the statement to you.
yeah. Okay, then, yeah.
It says his bark is bigger than his bite. I question whether legacy or money is their real motive. Canelo was offered the highest guarantee of his career. He was set to make 40 million plus, Mexican TV rights, and his Hennessy sponsorship. No problem. Let's fight. We gave it him. They wanted the upside of gate and pay-per-view revenue. No problem. Let's rumble. Then he goes on to say, he goes on to say, it was always agreed that it was a unification, no rematch either way. Towards the end of the negotiations, they asked for a rematch when they lose. No problem. You can have the rematch as well. I just want to fight. We try to give him everything. He wants more. He wants and more to make the fight. So, and then he goes on to say, one that is absurd. If I get injured or sick, he gets a late replacement for the same amount of guaranteed money. But if he gets injured or sick, then we got to wait for him. We're at 7.5 weeks from the fight. We've lost valuable time that should be spent promoting and drug testing for a fight of this magnitude. So that's the full statement.
Right, yeah. I think Plant is trying to make Canelo look a bit bad, like acting like Canelo after Plant accepted, and Canelo wanted more, then Plant accepted that, and then he wanted more. It definitely wasn't like that. It was probably all in the contract, and then Plant just agreed to it because he's kind of like saying, "Oh, Canelo's trying to avoid him by putting more things in it." I doubt it was like that, but with that stipulation there, yeah, I think, yeah, I guess it is a bit wrong. I mean, and it won't work with Al Heyman because obviously how PBC are, because they can't give Canelo 40 million because that has to do with a pay-per-view, and obviously if Plant's not there, Canelo will have to fight someone like obviously
Carlo
a PBC
Benavidez.
fight. No, yeah, but it won't be things like it won't be Charlo, it won't be Benavidez. Benavidez is fine in August, but I mean,
Okay. Yeah, but
I
surely they
don't
can
think
make
it'll.
him pull out of that. Surely they can make him pull out of that for a fight of that
Yeah,
magnitude.
but I was hearing they would probably like choose someone like Durrell or someone. But I mean, if it was about if it could have been Charlo, then that would have been great. But I mean, I can see where Plant is coming from, but he just
But
needs to hope that Canelo don't get injured. I mean, that Canelo won't get injured or sick.
why are we? Why is the fight being stopped from happening on whether there may be an injury? Like, why is the fight being stopped on something that may happen? He may get injured. That's ridiculous. I've
Yeah,
never heard anything like that before.
do you know what? I think Canelo's always had that in his contracts. It's just never been a problem by all the others. I mean, I can see where Plant is coming from. Absolutely, yeah. Things are boxing. You have the A sides, and you have to listen to them. It happened with Floyd, Oscar. It just happens, and you need to just listen to what they want. I mean, everyone else has had to do it. That's the bad thing about maybe getting that legacy fight with Canelo. You have to like listen to him. You can't just demand stuff because Plant's not going to get away with demanding things, stuff like that. But yeah, it is a shame. It's an absolute shame, that's for sure.
Dante's double cheeseburger nation says the replacement might be Charlo or Darrell.
Replacement might be Charlo. Ooh, okay then. Well, obviously, sure, it won't be a problem for the PBC, but it will be a problem for Plant still, I
Yeah,
guess, won't it?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, they need to get that sorted. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why Canelo's doing that. Actually, I mean, I don't get the reasoning behind that.
I don't. To be
I mean,
honest, I don't. I'm just reading some of these comments.
it's
Jonathan Ramirez says these haters are in another level of hatred for Canelo. It's a shame, and yet some of them are the ones talking about racism and targeted. Okay, that's obviously to a certain YouTubers. What's Dorian saying? It's obvious PBC leaked this info, whether it's true or not.
to be honest, we haven't actually heard of Canelo's side, and
Yeah.
what I was going to say was
Why do you think that is, though? Because surely, with all this being said, surely Canelo wants to get his side of the story
yeah,
across.
we all know Canelo's never been like that. Really, he hasn't ever been on the media to talk shit. I mean, you have to interview him, and he's very hard guy to interview. We only see interviews when it's on fight week. I mean, you realise that I've never actually seen Canelo have an interview like when he hasn't even got a fight announced or anything. I've never seen it. I only see interviews on fight week.
Hmm.
Yeah, but what was I going to say? What was I saying before? We was reading the comments. Do you remember?
Basically, you were saying that it's a bit strange that the fight. I think you were saying something that it's a bit strange that the fight was going to be is being stopped because of these reasons. I think that's what you were saying.
Oh yeah, maybe Canelo. Obviously, if Plant gets injured, I think Canelo just wants to fight in September, and he thinks because obviously the PBC they work a lot different than the Zone.
Hmm,
They work through pay-per-view. So Canelo he can't fight someone not good and get 40 million because it's not going to work. So that's
hmm,
probably why it's not actually going to work. But I mean that's the business for the PBC. That's why it's easier for Canelo to be on his own. So, but I'm hearing that they can get this sorted. Well, it's clear they can. So I hope
hmm.
it gets sorted because I want to see an undisputed
Yeah, yeah.
fight. If not, I mean, yeah,
Sorry, Makai. I actually
it's
think the
fine.
fight will get made.
You
I
reckon?
think the fight will get made. I just don't think these reasons are strong enough reasons to stop a fight like this. Do you
Mm,
know what I mean? I don't. It doesn't make. I don't like. Surely they can get over this. Like I know
yeah,
Eddie Hearn has said in the past that sometimes fight cannot be made over silly reasons.
yeah,
Especially to us fans, thinking about it, thinking that why would a fight be not made because of a replacement of an opponent? It sounds bizarre, but
yeah.
that's an ego of the A side, and Canelo's the A side, and he obviously feels he calls the shot. So that's like, it's not the fact that he's ducking. It's more the fact that, it's ego and the power, the fact that he feels he's the A side
Mm,
and he controls everything.
yeah.
That's what it is. It's not the fact that he's afraid of Plant. He's definitely not afraid of Caleb Plant.
Oh yeah, he called Plant out. He literally called Plant out. He's tried making the fight. He's
Mm,
been the one that's trying to make the fight. He's definitely not scared of Plant, that's for sure.
mm,
And what I'm
mm.
hating, obviously, have you heard of the LDBC?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like it's just they're very hypocritical. They give Canelo crap, obviously, because of the A side stuff, the things he demands. Fair
Mm,
enough, but didn't Floyd do the same? But they appreciate what Floyd does. Didn't Floyd do
mm,
the same? I mean, they're the A side. They're allowed to do that. It's obviously always different when it comes to like guys like Javante Davies who make demands like that. It's just I'm not liking the bias there at all.
mm,
But yeah, Canelo's definitely not scared of Plant. That's
mm,
stupid. Why would he be scared of Plant? What does Plant bring that would fear? I mean, well, that would fear Canelo, but I mean, no boxers fear anyone anyway. I've
mm.
always thought that. I've always thought boxers will only duck if they don't think they can win that fight, but they're not scared. They're not. It's not through fear. If you get what I mean.
Let's go through these questions then. Dante's Double Cheeseburger Nation says the September date is important for Canelo. If Plant
Yeah.
gets sick, Canelo will fight on September and Canelo will v Plant. Will get pushed back to December. Okay, so that's the September date is important for Canelo. If
Yeah. Oh
Plant
yeah.
gets,
Mexican into
yeah,
Mexican
independence. Yeah.
independent. Yeah, it's very important. Canelo has to fight that day, and
Mm,
obviously he still wants the money, but it won't
mm,
work. So yeah,
mm,
it's not. Canelo's not doing it to try and avoid Plant because I'm not liking how Plant is telling us it. It's definitely not true, right? Because he said, "Oh yeah, we gave him the rematch scores," and then he wanted this. Like, he definitely wasn't just trying to make more stuff as it goes along. That was all in the contract, and you
mm,
agreed. You don't need to try and make Canelo look bad.
mm.
Like,
Stephen, go on, Makai. Finish off. Go on, Makai.
oh no, that's what I was gonna say.
You sure? What did you want to say something?
I think I was, but I kind of forgot. I was
But
just in the
all
moment.
right. If
Yeah,
when it comes
yeah,
back to you, butt in.
yeah.
Antibody says, Stephen, this one's to you. It says, Imran, what's up? I couldn't finish watching the stream because of bias and ignorance from Christian. Almost had me in their debate with him yesterday. Stephen, I'll come to you. Honestly, I made a video actually saying that I commend Christian for his comments. He went against the grain. And I know you did on the live stream yesterday, Stephen. I haven't got a problem with anyone giving their opinion. He gave his opinion on how he sees the situation. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. You don't have to agree with it. I don't have to agree with it, but he's entitled to his opinion, right, Stephen?
He most definitely is entitled to his own opinion. Look, here's the thing. Okay, I think there's too much. We got to learn how to inhibit or kind of minimize our biases. I mean, everybody's going to have a bias at the end of the day. At the end of the day, but you want to look at things in and you want to look at things for what it really is, you have to look at it justly. And I don't think Christian was. I don't think he was. I don't think he was in the wrong for what he was saying yesterday. That was merely his opinion. That was what he sees. You know,
Especially
you
when he
got
was
to.
breaking down the fight, Stephen. Especially forget all right, all the stuff about Canelo's basic and stuff. I don't agree with that. But the stuff that when he was breaking down the fight, that's his opinion. That's the way he sees it. We can't.
And you know what? And you know what, Imran? That his point, the points that he was making was more on the lines of kind of breaking it down from a like if you go to Vegas and if you ask the guys who are in charge of calling the fights or putting the lines on the fights, they're gonna go by the same type of statistical data that Christian was saying yesterday. It don't mean that he was biased, man. It don't mean that. It means that they're forecasting who they think will be the victor based off of their physical attributes, based on a whole plethora of things. And that was what Christian was doing. Did I agree with him on everything he was saying yesterday? No, I didn't. But I don't think he should be lambasted about it either.
Yeah. Stephen hits the nail on the head, man. You hit the nail on the head there. Definitely hit the nail on the head. I'm gonna come to you for this one, Makai. Corey, the movie junkie, says, "What about AJ Wilder fight? I always thought AJ would knock him out with an uppercut. What you think, Makai?"
Yeah, I probably would favor AJ, but AJ, he hasn't got the footwork like Fury does to avoid that right hand. So Wilder definitely can catch him. I always feel about fight it's whoever lands first. Because I'll give it to Wilder. Wilder's quite tough as well. We've seen him take big shots. He's just not a good boxer. But yeah, I'll definitely favor AJ. Got better attributes, but if Wilder does land, AJ will go out. That's for sure.
Fair enough. Ray gives his opinion. Stephen, I'm coming to you. Canelo ain't scared of anybody. Stephen?
I don't think he's scared of anybody either. I don't think it's a matter of who's frightened of who and what this, that, and the third. I think Canelo and his team are looking at it as from a monetary standpoint, from a business standpoint, from a strategical standpoint. I don't think it has anything at all to do with Canelo scared or anything of anybody. I think it's just a matter of making the right decision for the right decision for Canelo and his camp, his family, etc.
Fair enough. That's a good point. Best knob alive says, people saying Canelo denied VADA testing, but he's been enrolled this whole time. Mike, I'm looking to you for that.
The testing?
Yeah, so basically Best Knob Live says, people saying Canelo denied VADA testing, but he's been enrolled this whole time. Your opinion?
I mean, those are, we're getting into speculation, assumptions. We don't know none of that. I mean, we have no idea. I highly doubt that it has to do with a VADA situation when Canelo's done VADA for I don't know.
Can I read out the statement from Caleb Plant? Have you seen it? Do you want me to read it out?
I was just gonna read it, but go for it.
All right, okay. His bark is bigger than his bite. I question whether legacy or money is their real motive. Canelo was offered the highest guarantee of his career. He was set to make 40 million plus Mexican TV rights and his Hennessy sponsorship. No problem. Let's fight. We gave it to him. They wanted the upside of the gate and pay-per-view revenue. No problem. Let's rumble. It was always agreed that it was a unification, no rematch either way for either fighter. Towards the end of negotiations, they asked for a rematch. When they lose, no problem. You can have the rematch as well. I just want to fight. We tried to give him everything he wants and more to make the fight. Then he goes on to say, one that is absurd. If I get injured or sick, he gets a late replacement for the same amount of guaranteed money. But if he gets sick or injured, then we got to wait for him. We're at 7.5 weeks from the fight. We've lost valuable time that should be spent on promoting and drug testing for a fight of this magnitude. That is Caleb Plant's statement.
I think what this is what stood out to me when I read that. All right. And this is why I think that Caleb Plant is bullshitting. He's bullshitting a lot, but this is what I got from it, right? So he says Canelo was offered the highest guarantee of his career. Okay, but you were too. You were offered 10 plus guaranteed, according to Mike Coppinger. So you were going to make your biggest guarantee as well. He was set to make, he said, plus Mexican TV rights and his Hennessy sponsorship. No problem. Let's fight. We gave it to him. Why does he say we gave it to him? Like, I'm thinking to myself, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, what do you mean we gave it to him?
I think
why is he right? Like, why is he thinking? Yeah, sorry, go for it.
I think PBC. I think what he means is PBC. So like his team, because Fox is his team, right? So they're the ones that are offering him. Not Caleb Plant's not offering that, but that Fox are.
Yes. But my point is that who told him going into the negotiations that was not going to happen or that wasn't possible? Like, in other words, if I'm Caleb Plant, shouldn't I just be worried about how much I'm going to get paid? Isn't that the main point here? And of course, worried about whether there's a catch weight or he doesn't let me use my gloves, like things that can affect me in the actual fight. Whether Canelo has Hennessy sponsorship or Mexican TV rights, why would anybody cancel a fight or complain about things that don't necessarily pertain to him, especially knowing that you're not the A side? You're not the A side, bro. Like, you're already getting a career payday. You're getting more than Callum Smith. You're getting more than BJ Saunders, and you have a shitty resume, bro. Like, you don't have anything to back up or for you to demand anything in a fight with Canelo Alvarez. He's getting, this is what's crazy, right? I'm talking about guaranteed money. He's getting more money than Canelo Alvarez got guaranteed against Floyd Mayweather, and Canelo Alvarez was a massive draw compared to Caleb Plant. And he's complaining about little things. Here's another thing that stood out to me. Right? He says, towards the end of the negotiations, they asked for a rematch. No problem. You can have the rematch as well. Why does he keep saying you can have the rematch as well? Why does he keep saying these things as if he doesn't know that he's not the A side? Second, why would he complain about a rematch? That means he probably won the fight, right? Why wouldn't he want another payday? Why wouldn't he want a rematch? Especially even if he loses, let's say there is a rematch. He loses a second fight. He still can brag about the first fight. There might be a trilogy if he loses a second fight. So why is he bringing out points that are irrelevant to the fight? As if these are things why people cancel fights. Oh, we gave him the rematch. Then he continues to say stuff like this. He says, we had to wait on his wedding. Oh, are you kidding me, man? He got married like a week after Billy Joe Saunders. He got married. So he's even complaining. He's acting like he had to wait on Canelo Alvarez getting married or a TV show. He's saying we waited we got it. We've been waiting for him to get done with his wedding, shooting his TV show, his golf tournament. Why does he think that Canelo Alvarez is supposed to stop doing all these things as if Canelo's the one in the table negotiating the fight? Or like he's waiting on Canelo to come to the table and it's kind of like, hey, bro, we're waiting for you, man. Like, how come you're not here yet? Their teams are the ones that negotiate. What is it? What's his problem? Like he's complaining about petty stuff, man. That's the point. He's complaining about stuff that have nothing to do with the actual fight or things that are not going to affect him directly in the actual matchup. I could understand if he came out and said, hey, I don't want to fight because he wants a catch weight at 166. So he's going to drain me. You know what? I don't want to fight because he's asking for this in the fight. He doesn't want me to wear the gloves that I want. Or I don't want this and that. It's stuff that who's gonna cancel the fight? Would you cancel that fight, Imran? If it was due to stuff like that? That's what I don't understand.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, Mike. I'm confused. The fight would get cancelled. The fight would get cancelled over stuff like this anyway, whether it's from Canelo's side or Plant's side. It just doesn't seem a legitimate enough reason for the fight not to happen because of the things that Caleb Plant is saying. Either way, whether it's Canelo or Plant, why would either Canelo or Plant's getting a huge payday, right? He's getting 10 million plus, whatever. Why would he want this fight not to go through? Because he's got everything to gain, legacy-wise and financially, right? He's not going to make a payday like this.
You know
Canelo's getting a lot because he's getting his biggest payday.
I'm sorry. Anyone getting the echo? It's from Stephen.
Stephen.
It's from Stephen, yeah. When he talks, I can see it coming through.
All right, okay. So why would Canelo Alvarez? Why would Canelo Alvarez? I don't understand why Canelo Alvarez or Caleb Plant will let this opportunity go, because they've both got Canelo Alvarez is going to get his biggest payday, right? And he's going to get a chance to become undisputed. Caleb Plant's going to get his biggest payday by a country mile, and it's a chance to create legacy. Why would any of them, over the reasons that are being said by Caleb's team, be a reason, or Caleb himself? Why would it be a reason for the fight not to happen? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up to me. It's not a legitimate enough reason for the fight not to go through for that.
There's been a comment somewhere. David Sanchez, he said something about a source about Canelo. If you wouldn't mind finding that, I think I can't see it anymore. Sorry to cut you.
So sources, David Sanchez says, sources, Canelo willing to do a 2-fight deal with PBC. Willing to go back to the negotiating table, time running out. If PBC doesn't change his posturing between today and tomorrow, it will be Bivol.
Is that true, though, David Sanchez?
David, did you get this from Mike Coppinger? Where did you get this news from? David, if you're still in the live stream, where did you get that news from? I'm pretty sure he must have got it from Mike Coppinger.
I'll be happy if he fights Bivol. Bivol's such a tough fight for him as well. And if he actually manages to beat Bivol, do you know what? I think he can. But it's just such a good win. But obviously he won't get credit for it. But I mean, imagine Bivol versus the guys like Plant, Charlo. I mean, that's.
I don't think it's Mike Coppinger, man. I'm looking.
No, it's not. It's not. I just had a look. It's not. Where the guy? So I heard this from George Ebro.
Cuban boxing channel. He knows Canelo's people.
I heard this from Jorge Ebro. That guy is a reliable source. Okay, I don't know whether.
Jorge who?
Was it on Twitter?
Jorge Ebro, he said. And he said it's a Cuban boxing channel. He knows Canelo's people.
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Until I hear it from like Mike Coppinger and Michael Benson and guys like that, I don't know whether I'm gonna take it for gospel. You know what I mean? Until it comes out of those guys, because those guys know. Guy worked for ESPN decades ago. Okay, fair enough. He seems credible then. Reliable source. All right, let's see. I'm pretty sure if he's broke that news, then I'm pretty sure that will be reported in an hour or so's time. So we'll
great news.
Hey,
I think that's great news. Then I mean,
it is.
If he can't
the only problem is, Mackay and Stephen, I'll come to you for this. What do you think happens next, Stephen? Looking into your crystal ball.
I can't say, because. And that's what I was gonna say earlier. You know what, man? We really don't know. We're all speaking out of speculation. We don't know what's going on either side, really. All we have is a tidbit of what Kelp might say, but we don't have any definitive information as to what it is. What I think happens is that there's been a backlash. And obviously, there's been a lot of disappointment that this fight is seemingly off. I think both sides will go back to the table and renegotiate and structure a deal that's best for everybody.
Do you see this fight happening though, or do you think it won't happen?
I don't know. I'm starting to think that it may not happen. I hope that's not the case, but I'm starting to think that it may not happen because. I mean, for some reason or another, they've been negotiating, but they haven't gotten anywhere.
Guys, I want your opinion. I want your opinion about this, right? I made a video earlier mentioning this.
I'll be back.
Canelo Alvarez, if he doesn't fight Caleb Plant, as is being reported, he's probably going to fight Bivol. Mike Mackay, he's probably going to fight Bivol. You know what I'm going to be interested in? Who is Caleb Plant going to fight if that fight doesn't happen between Canelo? Who I'm interested to see if he doesn't fight Benavidez and Canelo fights Bivol. I'm sorry, it's not acceptable because Caleb Plant's got to fight stiff competition like Canelo is. Like Canelo, if Canelo didn't fight Caleb Plant, he's possibly fighting somebody even stiffer than Caleb Plant. Whereas what's Caleb Plant going to fight? Who's he?
Do you know who he will fight?
None of this makes sense. That's why none of it makes any sense. Because it's what if Caleb Plant's going to do? He's never going to get another fight where he's going to make 10+ guaranteed.
Yeah, and the only thing that's more. Sorry.
No, go for it, Mackay. Go for it.
Oh yeah. It's just the one thing that's annoying me with Plant a little is that he's complaining that he would have to wait if Canelo got injured. But aren't you getting the biggest payday of your career, 10 million, possibly more, and it's a legacy-defining fight? What's the problem here? Like it's not like you're the A side and Canelo's just a nobody Canelo's just a guy that's got a belt that you'll take. It's not like that at all. This is one of the best fighters of this generation. Well, he is the best fighter of this generation. As I said, it's a legacy fight. It's the biggest payday of your career. I don't get what's the problem here. I don't know what. As you said, he's not making any sense.
Here's another thing that I don't think people understand, right? Like, fighters, they have a team, right? They have a team. So when they negotiate fights, they assume that the fighter, whether it's Caleb Plant or whether it's Canelo Alvarez or whoever else, that they're the ones that are putting these. They're making a list, or they're making these demands, these specific demands, and they're coming directly from the fighter. That's not always how it works. The teams make these demands because they look they make certain demands based on what benefits their guy. So for example, the demand of, if Caleb Plant pulls out of the fight, I want my guy to still have a guaranteed purse or a guaranteed money of 40 million, for example, right? That comes off as an obvious demand that's coming from his team. In other words, they're trying to make sure that Caleb Plant doesn't come out like he did in prior to the negotiations, doesn't come out and says, "Oh, I sprained my wrist, so I'm not gonna fight." Because they're talking about millions of dollars here. There's a massive event. What if Caleb Plant gets COVID, for example? So they want guarantees. They want it on the contract, so where guys just don't pull out of these fights, right? So that they take care of themselves. They take the training camp seriously. They don't get sloppy. Look what happened to Fury, to the situation with Fury and Wilder. Now they postponed the fight. Now they're not going to have the fight until when? Next year? February?
October, I believe.
So, okay, October maybe. Who knows? So a lot of these guarantees, it's not something that the fighters come up with. It's the teams. That's why you pay them. Because if not, then why are you paying these guys? If Canelo Alvarez is going to negotiate all his fights, then why is he paying these guys? Who knows how much they're getting paid? Millions of dollars maybe. To work for Canelo team and to negotiate these contracts and do all this stuff for him. So we have no idea really, unless you're there and you're in the table and you're listening to the negotiation, you're listening to the back and forth, and Al Heyman, whether Al Heyman's there or not, or Al Heyman's right hand man and whoever's talking for Canelo Alvarez, we're never really gonna know 100% what's going on or what they're talking about or who's debating or who's acting like a diva and who's not. The only thing we know is that based on what Caleb Plant said and his direct quote is that he's bringing up stuff that we already knew. He's bringing up stuff that we already knew. When Canelo fought Cotto, we already knew that Cotto wanted to enter the ring first or last, depending on what he wanted. We already knew that Cotto wanted his Rock Nation to be all over the mat. We already knew that Cotto was going to demand the fight to be at 155 and not 160. We already knew these things because he's the A side. So Caleb Plant is only bringing these things up almost as like in a way to kind of justify or not make himself look bad, because if the fight doesn't happen, he feels that the majority of the people are going to look at Caleb Plant and saying, wow, you're the one that's ducking because you're overpricing yourself, or you're the one that's getting away from the 10 plus guaranteed, because Canelo can make, like what Imran said, Canelo could go out and fight somewhere else and he's still going to get paid. So if anybody's ducking, the majority of people are going to say it's probably Caleb Plant. So Caleb Plant, of course, is going to come out with a statement and bring up this random shit that we already know. So it doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, these are not the reasons. These are not reasons why you don't make the fight or why you pull out of a fight. It doesn't make any sense.
David Sanchez says, deal breaker for Canelo was PBC's unwillingness to do a one-fight contract. Canelo's outrageous injury clause came as a response from Canelo's team to minimize future damages and manipulati. Well, I don't know what he means by that.
Manipulation. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think manipulation. Yeah, and yeah, manipulation. So yeah, what do you make of that, guys? What David Sanchez?
You see, like we don't know if that's true or not 100%, but I can see something like that happening, and that goes back to what we were saying about not being in the negotiations. How do we not know that's not a counter from Canelo's team based on what Al Heyman was forcing on Canelo? We don't know these things. That's what they do in the negotiations.
Yeah. But the thing is, these things that are being brought up here, it's just, for me, it's not a strong enough case. It's not a strong enough case for the fight not to happen because of this. I just find it ridiculous. I think I'm finding it hard to believe that the fight isn't going to happen because of this. I hope that, I reckon it's probably a negotiation by Canelo to say that we pulled it out and to get what he wants and to get them to agree to everything. And then, I think maybe it's just that I'm going to go away. If I'm giving you a deadline by X time, if you don't sign the dotted line, right, then I'm moving on to Bivol. That's what I think.
See, another thing they're not bringing up is, didn't Canelo agree to fight in his network?
Yep,
he's
exactly.
He's fighting in PBC and Fox, bro.
Yeah. But he had no choice. He had no choice because I don't think Al Heyman would allow Caleb Plant to fight on DAZN. He just wouldn't.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But that's my point, Imran. My point is that he's sacrificing also.
Yeah, of course. But Canelo hasn't got a broadcaster though, Mike. Canelo fights on.
But he's.
Yeah, go on.
You're right, but he has Eddie Hearn, right? And we know that he's told Eddie Hearn that even if he's not part of he's not part of the deal, that he wants him to be part of the negotiations. In other words, he wants him to lead the negotiations. So if it was up to Canelo Alvarez, I'm pretty sure he would have rather have fought through Matchroom DAZN, right? But he's willing, just like Eddie Hearn said, he's willing. Eddie Hearn said himself, he's like, I'm not going to stop Canelo from chasing legacy. I expect him to agree to fight in their platform. Eddie Hearn said it himself. I expect Canelo Alvarez to agree to fight in their platform. So in other words, we could have had a situation where if Canelo wanted to be a diva, right, they could have had a back and forth just on the network itself.
Yep.
Let me just go through some of these comments and let's go.
Yeah, I believe someone's being racist. I was looking at the comments, but obviously I didn't want to butt in. It's someone called Jose. I think he's just making it about race. All
right, okay. I'll Jose, can we please keep it? There's nothing about race right now being mentioned. It's all about boxing and the boxing talk. So let's keep race out of it, guys.
I think he's saying white's ain't good enough.
Say that again. Sorry.
I believe he's saying white. So like white fighters, they're not good enough.
Yeah. Can we stop bringing that into it. There's no need. There's no need to bring in race, guys. So Ped is actually funny and clever on this part. Okay, I don't get what you're trying to say there. Okay, 1 second. Let's go. David Sanchez. Okay, Otter Carmen says Canelo lost his O long ago. Now he rules, but respect and tricks he learned from Mayweather. Let's have Andrade boo-boo so he can prove he's the best. It's a bigger fight than Plant, in my view, guys.
I mean, Andrade, I think it's a bigger fight than Plant, but
on his
it's
own
definitely
well.
not. It's definitely, yeah, it's an easier fight to make, but it's definitely not the biggest fight. I mean, I prefer Canelo fighting Bivol. Bivol's a much tougher fight. Beterbiev, I mean, he doesn't even need to go over in those weights. I mean, there's Benavidez, that's a tougher fight. Charlo, that's a tougher fight. But Andrade, yeah, that'll be a good fight. I wouldn't mind seeing that either.
Fair enough, Makai. Mike, I'm gonna come to you for this one. Anthony says Canelo don't make me Rick. He can fight the next fighter in line. Plant can go on fighting for others he thinks he can beat. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you answered that a little while ago. I mean,
what do you think?
I agree. I mean, he doesn't have to make him what, rich? Is he saying rich?
No, so
rich.
Canelo don't have to make him. I think probably rich. Or
he's definitely meaning rich. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's kind of, it's like what you said. You know, he could fight someone else and he's gonna make a bunch of money too. I mean, the question here is, who is Plant gonna fight? Who is he gonna fight?
That's what I want to know. If this fight,
Durrell.
I hope it's Benavidez. I hope it's Benavidez, because otherwise, for me, that's not a sufficient enough fight. Durrell's not a good fight.
That's the only option he has, really. Like in terms of trying to compete with, or having another fight that makes sense if you're going to pull out of the Canelo fight. That's the only one that makes sense, because that's the only one that might make him the most money, and that's the only one that's really a legacy fight. If he fights anybody else, who else is he going to fight at 168? He's not going to fight Callum Smith. Callum Smith is at 175 now. He's not going to fight Billy Joe Saunders. He's probably retired by now. What other 168 is out there that stands out on that level? That's it. It's Benavidez. But he's already avoided Benavidez for the past 3 years. So how do we know that he's even going to want to fight him? I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I hope that does happen. I think because a lot of people think Benavidez beats Plant. So let me get another thing. Imagining, okay. So Rick says Andrade actually looks weird when he fights, almost amateurish.
Yeah, he does right. He's a good boxer, but he looks really sloppy sometimes with certain things he does. I really don't think he's as good as Christian, let's just say, thinks, and some people think. He's not amazing. He's not the most skilled from 160 to 175. I think that's what Christian said. I don't really know, but yeah, he's just I think he's just a little bit overrated. He's a good fighter, but he's not amazing as people think. He's not like a Lara or Floyd Mayweather.
Mike, your opinion?
I've said the same thing for years already. I've said the same thing. Even when we were talking about it a couple weeks back, I said the exact same thing as far as like how sloppy he looks. He doesn't look as sharp sometimes. Andrade has to be the most unproven, most popular guy I've ever met in my life, man. I mean, this guy, I don't even know. I have no idea how so many people hype this guy up with the resume that he has at the age. He's 33 years old, man. 33 years old. There's guys that are retired by that age. And you look at his resume, he's got names on his resume that are names that you see when guys barely turn professional. Like you've never heard of. You never heard of these guys ever. But he's the next, but to a lot of people, he's like the second coming of Pernell Whitaker.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Like I think Andrade's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. I think he's got skills, but he's so unproven, man. He's so unproven. Like, you know how you look at Crawford's resume, and Crawford is a guy he's fought guys with names like, you know, that
he's got a better resume,
who are past their best. You know, he fought some guys. At least he's fought guys that we've had. This guy's fought guys that they weren't even what they just weren't top level. Even they weren't at any point in their career any good. Like, I wouldn't want to disrespect fighters like that. What I mean is that they weren't what we consider championship level fighters.
Right.
What's
no
his
consistency? There's no consistency in these other fighters.
Liam
and you know what's weird? And then you know what's I mean, it's irritating, man, because it's like these people who rate Andrade that high, they say that they go based on the eye test, right? They go based on the eye test. But for whatever reason, the eye test doesn't work when evaluating his opposition. Right? So they can look at Andrade and be like, oh, he's super skilled, but their eye test doesn't work when looking at the opposition. Like they should be able to tell that the opposition is poor, is really, really, really poor. So it's like the eye test only works when they want it to work.
Very good point, actually.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He says so best Boo Boo. So he says Boo Boo is good. I don't know what skill set he has that beats Canelo though.
You know, it's hard to find a skill set that would beat Canelo because we haven't seen Canelo lose since Floyd, and that was when he was like 23. I mean, we can't just go with guys who has the same like slick fighters because he's already fought a slick fighter in Saunders. There's more to it than just being slick and being on your feet. So I don't have an answer for like who has the skill set to beat Canelo because we haven't seen it. We've seen Canelo go up against these styles. It's very hard to find. I mean, Golovkin's style is probably the closest that will give Canelo problems. Now, I don't know. I mean, Golovkin's quite old, but I still think he could put up a good fight. It's those kind of styles, the ones who are very accurate, who are tough, who can take the counter punches. Obviously, we saw Golovkin in the first 6 in the rematch. He was taking a lot of power punches, but he was still jabbing. He was still trying to jab through him. And then near the end, he was going at him. Obviously, in the last 6, it's guys like that, very accurate, very tough and powerful.
So Curtis Allen says Billy Joe is a slick southpaw too, although not as tall. So Mike, I'm going to come to you for this one. Is Andrade better than Billy Joe?
I don't think so, man. Honestly, if they fought, I can see Andrade winning that fight. But if he's better, he's a split decision better. That's it. Like, so in other words, there's not much to separate them, in my opinion. And matter of fact, I think Billy Joe Saunders is clearly more proven than Andrade, because Billy Joe Saunders at least has been there with Lemieux. He's been there with Eubanks. He's been in there with Andy Lee. He's got more names in his resume. So we have a better idea of what kind of fighter Billy Joe Saunders is. We have a good idea. He the only thing he didn't have on his resume is like the top guy, like a Triple G or a Canelo Alvarez until recently. But he had everything below that. I feel like he had that type of opposition. He had that level, you know, that championship type level around their opposition. But
it wasn't a great resume, but better than
yes,
Andrade.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely an Andrade.
It's not like Billy Joe's not got a great resume. It's fairly like it's not as, but compared to Andrade, it's better. Do you know what I mean? Because Andrade there isn't a resume really.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a 2-division champion as well. He's also 2-division champion.
Who? Billy Joe.
Right.
Yeah. However, I do question the guy he fought to win that world title.
Chef at his tooth.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Yeah. Andrade's a 2-division world champion as well. He was champion at 154, but again,
I think he had a regular belt though.
What, 154?
Yeah. I think it was a regular belt. I don't count regular belts as a belt, but
it's regular because he is known as a 2-division world champion.
Yeah, so Tank's known as a 3-division world champion, I think.
Oh no, but he
is 2.
Tank's known as that, but nobody really considers him. I know Andrade's got a WBO middleweight title belt right now. That he got off Billy Joe, And then I think he won his WBO. I think he won a WBO at
It was
light
a
middleweight.
vacant. It was a vacant.
Yeah, but WBO don't have regular belts. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it was a regular, but he won the It was a vacant belt versus a guy named Walter. I can't even pronounce his name, man. I'm not.
Yeah, because the vacant belt was Billy Joe. Remember, he was meant to fight Billy Joe for that belt,
right? And then he won.
Failed his drugs test.
And then he won the WBA regular light middleweight title versus Jack Colke or something like that.
Yeah,
a German.
Right.
You know what? I want to say something here. People, you know, they say Andre's avoided. I mean, isn't Andre the same guy who's pulled out of two of his biggest fights? Jamel Charlo and Sergey Derevyanchenko. He's pulled out of two of his biggest fights. So how on earth is he avoided? He's actually pulled out of those fights. Those guys wanted to fight him. But people, you know, they never mention it. They use the excuse, like, it's a bit like, I'm not going to say Crawford, I'm just going to go with Andre. They just use that excuse in time, oh, it's not Andre's fault, nobody wants to fight him. Yes, people did want to fight him. Jamel, they was literally lined up to fight, and then Andre pulled out. Same with Derevyanchenko. He pulled out.
So this is I don't know if you guys know this, because obviously you guys are not in the States, but the attention that Android is getting right now is pretty recent. The hype that he's getting right now is pretty recent, because I can tell you, I've known Android 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and the reputation that he had was a guy who would refuse to challenge himself. That's the reputation that he had. It wasn't the reputation that you're hearing right now. He was viewed as a guy who was waiting for the big payday, and if he wasn't getting that big payday, he was fighting average opposition. In other words, kind of like the low risk, high reward type of mentality, right? So now that Canelo Alvarez is in and around the weight class, he's been calling Canelo Alvarez out, and that's a strategy that a lot of boxers use nowadays, where they stay on the low pro because nobody really talks about them. They kind of hide in a way, or they stay in a safe zone. They win a title against a bunch of nobodies. They hold the belt hostage, and they avoid fights against, like, the ones that we want to see, like maybe against a Charlo, or maybe against like a opposition that's maybe on his level, right? And they avoid those types of fights, and they look for that big name. So when that big name pops up, they call out that big name, and then you get a bunch of sheep, a bunch of morons that follow the hype. And then they say, oh, man, Canelo Alvarez is ducking this guy, or Canelo Alvarez is ducking this one, or that guy, or this guy, that guy. So then Android comes out and he sticks his chest out and he's like, hey, man, look, I'm trying to fight the best. Yeah, you're trying to fight the best right now because you want the fucking payday, bro. But you didn't want to take the risk when you weren't going to get that payday, and you had, and there was a chance that you might lose. There's a video out there that's years ago, man, where he was calling out Charlo. I don't know if you guys seen it. He was in the press conference as well, and then Charlo, they had to kick him out of the press conference. I don't know if you guys seen that.
Yeah, video. I think I remember. Yeah.
So when we saw him in the Canelo post fight, that's not the first time he's done that, right? So that's what I'm saying. He's a clever dude, you know what I mean? The way, like, he moves and the way he goes about, you know, his business. But for people not to notice is look, Erislandy Lara, man. I use Erislandy Lara as an example. Erislandy Lara is a guy who everybody avoided. He's a guy who nobody wants to fight. And I'm pretty sure you guys would agree that Erislandy Lara is probably better than Andre, not just in terms of legacy, but even the eye test. He's a more complicated guy. He's
definitely.
proven it.
Maybe and not now, obviously, but in their prime, most definitely. When there was,
yes, of course. And Erislandy Lara was able to fight guys with decent names. Even he. So the excuse that, oh, people don't want to fight me because of my style, this and that, that's a bunch of bullshit. That's a bunch of bullshit, dude.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Android, he has not helped himself one bit. Right, fair, right. He's saying Golovkin avoid him. Fair enough, if that's true. Jamal Charlo, not Jamal. Yes, Jamal did avoid him. Yeah, Canelo, he's obviously doing his other thing. That's true. Those guys don't want to fight him. But then you got Benavidez. Someone asked him, would you fight Benavidez? Guess what Android said? does he have a title? But
Right.
that he then goes and fights. But he was then scheduled to fight this guy called Dusty Harrison. Like, he makes no sense, but no one's talking about that. And there's so many guys.
Whoa, what's happened there? Why is Makai and Mike just been kicked off? Oh no. All right, I'll have to quickly do this. All right, Andrade literally pulled out a Lara fight. Andrade literally pulled out a Lara fight, did he? Yeah, Andrade, to be honest, I just want to see him in there with stiff competition. I don't know why it's not letting me let Makai and Mike back in. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Why isn't it letting me let them in? Oh, there's an error. But I'll just have to do it. Fight Gamer says Canelo should just go to cruiserweight for a new challenge. Go to cruiserweight and fight who? Yeah, Makai, it's not. So, in 1 second, guys, 1 sec. So, he also ducked Lara because according to him, he didn't like his style. That's a duck. He also ducked Lara because according to him, he didn't like his style. Well, Lara, to be honest with you, like Mike was just saying, until he got, something got kicked off, is that Lara, for me, was better. Lara was, for me, after Mayweather, probably one of the most skilled, pure boxers we've seen in this generation. Lara was so skilled, so gifted, and he was avoided. Nobody wanted to go near Lara. Golovkin didn't want to go near Lara. Canelo obviously fought him and then fight him again because there wasn't enough money in it. There wasn't enough money in it. Yeah, guys, listen to John Love and smash the like button. I'd appreciate if you can smash the like button, guys. I don't know why it's just kicked them off. Curtis Allen says, people use these Mayweather and Lara fights to analyze Canelo, but he's changed. Fighter. Someone on Canelo's level learns with every fight. Yeah, I know. I don't understand that. Why do people keep bringing up the Mayweather fight? That was almost a decade ago. People improved. People have got better. Canelo's got so much better since then. Canelo's improved leaps and bounds since the fight with Mayweather. Canelo's a different beast now. He's a different fighter now. I don't know why people bring it up. I agree with you, Curtis. I don't know why people bring that up. I don't know why. So Jet says, so no one below heavyweight has a chance, in my opinion. Beterbiev possibly. I think Beterbiev's a great fight. I think Beterbiev is a great fight. I think that is the fight I want to see out of all of 160 and 168, 175. I think that's the fight I want to see Canelo involved in. That's a proper 50-50 fight. That's a tough fight, to be honest with you. It's just, I think it's a proper tough fight for Canelo. I think that's a very difficult fight. Very difficult fight. I don't think that's an easy fight whatsoever, to be honest with you. Whatsoever. Okay, let's see some of these comments. Boston Jorge says, Canelo is bigger than PBC. This one fight was going to be PBC biggest fight to date. Canelo is bigger than PBC. This one fight was going to be PBC biggest fight to date. Well, pay-per-view wise, it would have done huge numbers. It would have done huge numbers. I reckon it would have done close to 1 million pay-per-views, maybe above 1 million pay-per-views, because of the fact that because of the reasons that I said. I think Canelo's the biggest star in the sport, and I reckon the numbers would have been huge. To be honest with you. Jet says, makes sense as why he doesn't know anything about boxing. Okay. So race out. It's not letting me. It's not let. One sec, guys. 1 sec. I thought Fox PBC was a cool with one fight deal. I had a feeling Al wasn't done trying to sneak in an extra fight. Fox PBC fight. I thought Fox PBC was cool with one fight deal. I had a feeling Al wasn't done trying to sneak an extra fight. I think that could be a reason. Don't get me wrong. I think that could definitely be a reason. The fact that, they want to make it financially worthwhile for them. So they know if they get Canelo for 2 fights, they're going to make a lot of profits. Whereas 1 fight's risky, especially the guarantees that they're guaranteeing both men. I think it's risky. Whereas 2 fights, they know that they'll make that money back. So that's why I think they want another fight. Okay, let's see these. We already know that Canelo, Jonathan Ramirez says, we already know that Canelo gave things to Billy Joe, even fight week, as long as he fought. So saying it's Canelo, it's BS, because we already saw he gave Billy Joe what he demanded. Yeah, he did. He did give Billy Joe what he demanded, to be honest. He did. And Billy Joe got what he wanted because Canelo wants to fight. He wants to win. That's the thing with Canelo. He wants to fight. He wants to win. Okay, so Jose was bought by the LDBC and Dante's Boxing Nation community. The LDBC and Dante's Boxing community. Okay, what's this? Boo Boo is weak, amateurish, please. Boo Boo is weak and amateurish. I wouldn't go as far as saying. I think he is sloppy, and I think in the Liam Williams fight that definitely showed he was quite sloppy. His performance wasn't great, and I don't see how he beats Canelo. I know Christian gave his points yesterday. I still don't see how that beats Canelo out. I just don't see how that beats Canelo Alvarez, to be honest with you. Mike, you there?
Yes, I'm back in.
Okay, I've managed to get you on. I can't get Makai on. It's not letting me click his thing. I don't know from some reason. I don't understand. It let me click on yours, but it doesn't let me with Makai. I don't know. But yeah, basically, I want to read out some comments to you. So Robert McDonald says, when a PBC fighter really wants to fight somebody from across the street, you get Ruiz v AJ, Wilder v Fury, 1, 2, 3 coming soon. When a PBC fighter really don't want it, you get failed negotiations. Your response?
I mean, that's tough to say, but that's the reputation that they have. So I don't know. Could be true. I mean, they're known. A lot of the fighters, a lot of the promoters, they'll say that they like to keep it in house. So it's possible. I mean, it's possible that they're looking for their own interests, or because Al Heyman. Look, Al Heyman's always had the reputation where he takes care of his fighters. Like his fighters never say anything bad about him, right? But when it comes to them fighting someone else on the other end of the street or something like that, then that's when it becomes a problem, right? Because then there's money involved, money issues involved, and I don't know. I don't know if he treats him like he feels that all of his fighters are the A side, regardless of who sells more or how close the the ratings or how much they sell. He feels like he treats his fighters like they're all the A side. So maybe that complicates things. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess if you're a fighter and you're under PBC, that's a good thing. But if you're a fan, I mean, I guess we're the ones that pay the price because we don't get to see the best fight the best.
Curtis Allen says, would you say PBC are bad for boxing?
I mean, that's the $1 million question. I don't know. I guess. I mean, right now the way things, the landscape right now in boxing, you could say that boxing just overall in general is probably not in a good place. So is PBC part of the reason? Are they part of the reason? Maybe they're part of the reason. I don't know, but it is what it is, man. There's nothing we could do about it.
Yeah. So Bass Track, how are you, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
All good, man. All good. I know you've been wanting to come on. Just let Makai. I can't get you on for some reason, man. It's not letting me. A problem from your end, because now it's letting me Mike and Bass Tracks on. So Brass Track, sorry, on. So I don't know why it's not letting me get you on for some reason. But yeah, Brass, what do you make of all this news, man, with Canelo and what's going on? What's happening? What do you make of it?
I mean, well, I'm kind of late just jumping in. Specifically, what news are you talking about with him?
Oh, do you want me to read out the statement again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so this is what Caleb Plant had to say. His bark is bigger than his bite. I question whether legacy or money is their real motive. Canelo was offered the highest guarantee of his career. He was set to make 40 million plus Mexican TV rights and his Hennessy sponsorship. No problem. Let's fight. We gave it him. Then they wanted the upside of the gate and pay-per-view revenue. No problem. Let's rumble. It was always agreed that it was a unification fight, no rematch for either fighter. Towards the end of negotiations, they asked for a rematch. When they lose, no problem. You can have the rematch as well. I just want to fight. We tried to give him everything and he wants more to make the fight. One, that is absurd. If I get injured or sick, he gets a late replacement for the same amount of guaranteed money. But if he gets sick or injured, then we got to wait for him. We're at 7.5 weeks from the fight. We've lost valuable time that should be spent on promoting and drug testing for a fight of this magnitude. So to all of that, Brass, what do you make of it?
I mean, I don't think Canelo's in any way ducking Caleb Plant. I mean, if that's what he's implying, I could see. And I'll be honest with you, man. I don't know how close. I mean, is this fight is it already contractually done?
No, it's not because the contracts haven't been signed.
Okay, I think Canelo. I don't want to call him. He's not a diva. Obviously, he's got a respectable resume, but he is at that point, man. He's kind of gotten to where he's the face of boxing, or one of the faces of boxing. So I think, I don't know, man. Caleb, personally, I think Canelo beats Caleb.
Yeah. I think we unanimously agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as him ducking the fight, that's just, I mean, as well as I do, he ain't ducking Caleb. But what I think maybe he is doing is just wanting it on his terms. I mean, when you make a fight with Canelo, it's like making a fight with Floyd or Manny, or somebody of that magnitude. It's, there's a lot to it. So, he's obviously the A side. He's got all the belts, other than, the one he's fishing for. So I don't know. I think Caleb's probably just talking out the side of his mouth, maybe because he's wanting things to happen a little bit quicker. And he probably feels like, I mean, truthfully, he's got a belt. So he probably feels like he has a little bit of weight in the situation too. And he's probably thinking, well, I want things done my way too. I deserve a fair shake at how I want this fight to go because I'm a champion too. So, because this will definitely be Caleb's biggest payday by a long shot.
It's apparently Canelo's biggest payday as well, Brass.
Oh, really? To fight Caleb?
Yeah. No, and Caleb. Yeah, Caleb as well by a long stretch. But Canelo's highest payday as well.
Oh, wow. That's crazy, man.
It's his highest guarantee.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Sorry, highest guarantee. Yeah, but that's big news. Highest guarantee. Canelo's got some big guarantees. He's fought Golovkin.
Yeah.
So that's significant.
And Floyd.
And Floyd, yeah. But Floyd, it was early on in his career, and he was the B side to that.
Yeah, he didn't make that much against Floyd.
Yeah. So
yeah. Well, I wonder what he made in that fight. You think he made 5?
Well, he was guaranteed 5, and then he made, I guess whatever percentage from what I've heard him say and the reports, he made around from 10 to 12 overall.
Okay, so not bad. That was a young Canelo too. That was a damn good payday for his age.
Right.
But yeah, personally, I'm ready for him to clean out super middleweight and get back to light heavyweight, because I'm telling you, man, that Better Be fight that you were talking about earlier, that's the fight, man. I think, well, and truthfully, I think David Benavidez gives him a good rumble too. I'm not saying David beats him, but I think a guy like David, he's real durable. And David's a big super middleweight, right? I mean, he cuts a shit ton of weight. He's just been staying in shape lately. That's why he looks so good. But you've seen him, when he's out of camp. David's a big boy. So I think those two guys give him the most trouble. And I think people talking about Andre, I think Canelo does a job on Demetrius. I mean, a job. He just doesn't have no power. And he can box. A lot of these other guys that he's been beating, but he's not going to be able to box Canelo like that. So, really, I'm ready to see him clean out super middle and get on up there with some bigger guys. But I think Canelo, man, I've never been one of those guys that just like completely ride his jock. I respect his skills, and I do think he's a great fighter. But I think it's like a lot of people. I think there's a few guys out there that can punch his ticket, and he's maneuvering smart. It's the last stretch of his career. He's got what 3-4 good years of prime left, if he's lucky. So I think he's trying to maneuver. Make his money. Obviously he's not wanting to lose again, so he's at that point where if he's really gonna some of these killers, he's gonna want the money for it, man, because he's trying to, I think at the end of the day, subconsciously, he's thinking to himself, if I say I just lost to Floyd Young, essentially it's almost like being undefeated. You know what I mean?
Do you think Plant's a killer though, Brass?
Do I think what?
Do you think Plant's a killer? Like, do you think he's a top fighter?
Yeah, I think Plant's I do give him A level because he's super slick. But I tell you two things that are his downfall, man. You saw in the Jose Uzcategui fight, he's not durable. I mean, that fight he handily beat Jose Uzcategui or whatever, but he doesn't sustain damage well. He's got those high cheekbones. He was marked up bad in that fight. And B, he just doesn't really have. I mean, he's got decent power, but he doesn't have real heavy power. So I think durability wise, I think there's only a couple guys I would say out there that beat him. I think David Benavidez beats him. I think Canelo beats him at super middle. I think.
Just a quick question to you, Brass. Do you think Billy Joe and Callum Smith would have beaten Plant?
Ooh, good question. Billy Joe, that'd be a good one, man. Callum Smith, that's a tough one to call because he's so technically sharp and he's such a big super middle, man. But really, those are all great fights. Even Andre, it would be an intriguing fight to see Caleb in. I think I'll tell you like this. I think Billy Joe could maybe beat Caleb. I really do.
What do you think, Mike?
I agree with BT. I mean, I think that all those fights are what I would consider to be like 50-50 type of fights. And you would put like a Canelo Alvarez above them. So Canelo would be favored, against all those guys. But I think if you had like a tournament and all those guys had a chance to fight each other, I think the majority of people would look at those as like, 50-50 fights. Who knows? Depending on how you match them up, maybe stylistically, one guy would probably beat another one. But I don't see someone that stands out that would dominate in that, like if they had a tournament. The other guy I agree with him too is Benavidez. Benavidez stands out too. I think Benavidez beats all of them too.
You think he beats Callum Smith, Billy Joe, and
I think so. Yeah. He's huge, bro. So right off the bat, he has a massive physical advantage over the majority of these guys. So he has an advantage over Andrade, over Billy Joe Saunders, not Callum Smith, or maybe Plant, but it's not even going to matter because he's probably still bigger than all those guys, by slightly bigger than all those guys. And plus he's pretty fast. He's a dog, he's got a nice skill set as well. So he's the most dangerous out of all the fighters for sure.
My phone died.
Someone left.
I've been dying to get on his channel.
Yes, Brass.
You finally let me in.
Yeah, Brass. Basically, Andrade. There's a lot of talk about Andrade and the fact that people are ducking him. What's your take on Andrade? Brass? I think he's gone. All right, okay, so I think he went. Golovkin would have destroyed Lara. What do you think, Mike? Would he have destroyed Lara?
If not this Golovkin or the one that fought Canelo. The one that fought Canelo for sure destroys Lara.
Yeah, the one that fought Canelo.
Anything before, anything from Canelo going down, I think he beats Lara for sure. Because Lara had massive issues with Angulo. I don't know if you remember. The only reason that fight was even stopped is because of the hematoma that Angulo had. It was massive. You know, he had a huge bump in his head. So
and Angulo's a crude fighter. He's not the most gifted fighter, athletically gifted fighter, is he?
Yeah, it's not even close. So
so
if he was able to drop Lara and punish Lara the way he did, I mean, Golovkin's just gonna run Lara over. Because remember, Lara would have to move up to 160. So we're also asking Lara to move up in weight. So this is not a fight at 154. It's a 160 fight.
I want to ask you this, Mike. Young Billionaire, for some reason, it's the stream is only allowing you in. It's not allowing others in for some reason. But I'm glad that you're in. But it says here, Beterbiev, your Young Billionaire says Beterbiev is a monster. What do you would you agree?
Yeah, that's probably the proper term to use for a guy like him. He's built like that. I mean, you don't even have to see him fight. The way he looks. I mean, he looks like he's all muscle, man. So he is a monster. He's a monster in his weight class, and anybody that moves up, you know, they're gonna see a monster.
Do you think he beats Canelo?
I have that one's tough for me to call, man. That one's really tough for me to call because, in a way, I kind of feel that even though Canelo knocked out Kovalev, I didn't think Canelo
looked great.
No, he didn't. Like I think he kind of struggled a bit. He struggled a bit with the height, with the distance. And I don't know if you ever saw the post fight interview, but Canelo had glasses on, bro. His whole forehead was swollen, man. It was swollen red from just the jabs that Kovalev was throwing. And this is supposedly a pass, you know, a shot Kovalev, right? Past prime Kovalev. So imagine what a guy like Better Beef could do. You know, it's one of those fights, man, where there's too much unknowns for me to call because you could be right either way. You could see Canelo winning the fight, and maybe some people might not be surprised, and at the same time, you could see Better Beef, you know, giving Canelo massive problems, tiring him out, you know, kind of doing what Golovkin did, and I wouldn't be shocked either. So it's kind of one of those where unless we saw Canelo have more fights at 175 to kind of give us a better idea, there's a lot of guessing in there. Matter of fact, that's the type of fight that I would probably even bet on because of that. Because I would probably bet on a guy like Better Beef to pull the upset because of the status that Canelo has, there's a good chance that people might view him as a favorite and he probably shocked people, you know, kind of like what happened with Trinidad and Hopkins. You know, when Trinidad moved up, I thought it was ridiculous to think that people were thinking that Trinidad was just going to go up to 160 and knock Hopkins out, knowing how big Hopkins was as a middleweight as well. And then, you know, he went in there as a favorite, and then Hopkins completely, you could say, dominated Trinidad. So this could be one of those situations. You never know.
Brass Cracks is back. Brass, you there?
Yeah, I apologize, Imran. My phone died on me, brother. I'm sorry.
All right, no worries, man. So I wanted to ask you because you said who wins, Beterbiev or Canelo?
Oof. I mean, if I had to bet my life on it, it's hard to go against Canelo. But I just got a feeling, man, that guy's such an assassin. And he's heavy-handed. And like somebody in the chat said, they said 175 is different, and it is. I mean, he's tested the waters there, but you know, we know that was a twilight of a career, Kovalev. So I just think, I don't know, man. He's stepping into dangerous turf. If I had to put money on it, though, I'd probably go Canelo. But I got a feeling, man, that if anybody's got his ticket, it's Better Be. it's a tough fight to call, man. What do you think? Who do you like in that fight?
It's a tough one, man. It's a 50-50, proper 50-50. I wouldn't be able to call that fight. I think Canelo's more proven, and he's obviously achieved a lot, and he's fought a lot of great fighters. But the fact of the matter is, they'll come to a point where weight is just too much. And Beterbiev's still fresh. He's still got a lot left. And he's a monster. And I think he has a style that will cause Canelo a lot of trouble. See, Canelo's the type of fighter where I feel like you've got to be strong enough. You've got to be powerful enough to push him back, have a big punch, right? To keep Canelo pushing back, like I said, and make him work 3 minutes of the round, like Golovkin did. And I think Beterbiev can do that. And I think Canelo does have stamina issues, which someone like Beterbiev can expose or bring out, because I think Beterbiev can, put him under that pressure mentally and physically required to tire him and wear him down. I don't think he'll knock him out with one shot, but he could wear him down. But having said all of that, if you were to ask me to make a prediction, I would say Canelo wins a unanimous decision.
Do you rate that just off strictly skills? Like, do you think that Canelo would be able to box him well enough to steal the fight? Because I don't think Canelo stops him. I think we can agree on that, right?
Yeah, I think it'll be difficult, right? I won't be surprised if Canelo hurts him. If Canelo hits him and hurts him, I won't be surprised. But again, I don't know. He knocked Kovalev's spark out, So I don't know. And Beterbiev's known for having a bit of a dodgy chin, so it's a bit. I wouldn't say he's got a dodgy chin. He got knocked down by Callum Johnson, who's obviously a big puncher and a big light heavyweight. So there's no shame in that. But I still think that obviously Canelo's very precise. He might not be as big and powerful as Callum Johnson, but he's very precise and he can definitely hurt anyone. Canelo can hurt anyone. Canelo's a monster. I won't be surprised if Canelo could hurt a heavyweight. I'm not saying the top 10 guys, but someone in the top 35 or, I feel like Canelo could probably hurt a heavyweight. He's a monster.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you don't sound crazy saying that at all. Trust me, he can definitely hurt. I would say roughly any heavyweight if he catches them right, But here's something to think on, right? You know how a lot of these guys, like light heavies, cruiserweights who spar Golovkin will tell you, like, even though he's a 60 guy, he hits like a heavyweight, right? And I don't want to bring this up because honestly, I'm not the guy that like harps on, people's downfalls. But you know how the first fight Canelo popped hot, and obviously you could tell in the difference of his stature between first and second fight. I mean, he was a unit in that first fight with Golovkin, right? Like you can just see he was a bigger guy. And you noticed how, I'm sure you've played it back 100 times, that one big right hook, Golovkin catches him on the ropes in slow-mo and he just eats it like Pac-Man. Well, you got to think about that because I would compare Golovkin's power to Beterbiev at least within like, I don't know, 20% difference at most. They both hit really hard, right? So, like you said earlier, the power, it's such a fine line between power that you can handle and power that's too much. So, when I think about the fight with Beterbiev and Canelo, the only thing I keep thinking is like he stops Canelo because I just don't see him outboxing him. So, like you said, he's going to have to hurt him. And I think he could do that. So it really just translates to, is that 7-pound jump from a thumper at light heavy, mind you. This guy hits hard. But is that too much power for Canelo? Because the pressure, if he just keeps piling the pressure and he gets to him, because, his counterpunching is great. But let's say he lands something big and kind of gets the legs a little bit wobbly on Canelo, then you got a long night for him or a short night. But yeah, to just bet, if I just had to bet the house on the fight, it's kind of like the Manny Spence fight. Like I know everybody's thinking Spence is going to pull it off, but if I were to bet money, it's like, how do you bet against Manny? So it'd be the same way with Canelo for me. I'd probably put some money on Canelo. But
I wanted to. Mike made a point, I think he made a good point that Canelo didn't really look good at light heavyweight. He looked quite. I thought his body shape didn't look great. I thought he looked kind of buffy, puffy. Like I thought he didn't look right to me, and he looked slower. He didn't look great in that fight against Kovalev. He didn't look great. Now, obviously, Kovalev was a bit more hesitant. He was a bit wary of himself. His own stamina was iffy at that point. Beterbiev might have a more gung-ho, more confident approach with Canelo. And I'd have to say that version that fought Kovalev, I just don't think that version. I think Canelo would have to be a lot better to beat Beterbiev. Right, Mike?
I think, yeah. I mean, the key for me is the same key with the Triple G fight. The difference for Canelo Alvarez is the body work. That's it. That's the difference for me, because he hit Kovalev. I mean, he hit a Triple G with every punch in the kitchen, like in his face, from right hooks, uppercuts. That wasn't the issue. The issue, or what Triple G, in my opinion, was more concerned about, was the body punching. So much so that he forgot how to throw body punches, because he had so much respect for Canelo's countering, that Triple G went from being a top 3 body puncher to, you would have thought that he didn't even know how to throw body punches in 2 fights. So he wasn't even to make the adjustment even in the second fight, right? So that's the only way I can see Canelo Alvarez making a guy like Beterbiev, like putting him in a situation where he kind of he would have to respect Canelo Alvarez, because I don't know if Canelo has that type of power to to knock out a guy like Beterbiev. Beterbiev is huge, man. And then another thing is that you don't even have to, if you're at 175, you don't have to hit as hard as these other guys, because you're already bigger. So a 175 puncher who may not be a big power puncher can hit just as hard as a 160 guy, or he could hit harder than the hardest puncher at 160. You understand what I'm saying? Or like, let's say Triple G, for example, who's a big puncher at 160. You could have a guy who at 175 who might not be known as a puncher, but he might hit as hard as Triple G just because he's at 175. So Canelo moves up in weight, and he's going to feel the same type of power that he might have felt from a guy like Triple G, even if the guy's not known as a power puncher, just because these guys are going to be outweighing him by 15, 20 pounds. Some of these guys are even cutting to make 175. They might be cruiserweights and shit, So there's a lot of unknowns in that fight, But I think that's one of the separators. That's one of the things that makes Canelo successful in those weight classes, is if you remove the skill set that he has in terms of throwing body punching, he probably wouldn't have the success that he has, because that's one of the things, in my opinion, that keeps these bigger guys honest, and he keeps them away. Because if he didn't have that part of his game, then he has to rely on outboxing guys, like BT said, and when you're facing guys that are taller, longer, they might be slick. You can't just rely on stuff like that. You need more versatility. And Canelo has that type of power where he might not knock you out, but he could hurt you to the body big time.
Yeah, Sleeper, we can hear you, man. We can hear you.
Cool. Hey, Mike, let me ask you this, Mike.
One sec, Bryce. Let Sleeper wanted to say something. Let him have his say. Go on, Sleeper.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, bro.
I just wanted to say something about the everyone mentioning, trying to say Canelo ducking. I'm just trying to make it make sense. He's going to make the biggest payday, 40 mil, Mexican TV rights, his Hennessy sponsorship, and they're saying he's ducking. I just don't get it. Why are people saying that? To move on and fight a better opponent than Plant, it just don't make sense. How is he ducking?
Well, I think the reason it's being implied is because what did he say he wanted to do at super middleweight?
Yeah, he's on a mission to he wants undisputed. He wants it, right. Everybody knows he wants it. Plant saying he has paperwork to prove. All the paperwork he has is the contract with the list of demands. That's not proof that Canelo is ducking.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
I just honestly, in my opinion, I think it's Plant and his management team, Al Heyman. They just need to Plant just needs to man up, put his foot down, accept the fight, get his 10 mil, because he ain't never gonna make that, especially if he passes up on this fight.
Thanks.
Yeah, we all agree.
He made $750K his last fight. He's not even worth 2 mil. He ain't never gonna make this money ever in his career.
So, Sleeper, do you think it's a case where he's trying to maximize what he can get?
I think he's trying to get more money, or he's just trying to hold on to the belt a little longer. I think it's stall tactics. I really think the fight is going to happen. I just think it's some stall tactics.
Yeah,
I don't think Plant is dumb enough to pass up on this opportunity. Biggest payday of his life. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, he's gonna take the fight.
It's like that's why I compare it to politics, man. I compare it to politics
because the boxing
everybody has excuses. Everybody has excuses. They already have excuses lined up. Just even if they lose, so that if they lose, they're gonna say, "Oh well, man, I didn't have enough time because of the negotiations and because of this and that." Caleb Plant was already making excuses years ago,
before
bro.
This,
for other fighters, for other fighters. He was making excuses for other fighters. He wasn't even the one fighting Canelo, and he was already making excuses for other fighters.
Exactly. Plant got priors on doing this type of stuff. You know what I mean? Another thing too is Plant speaking on legacy. He don't even have a legacy. You know, like what is he talking about legacy?
His resume is slick. It's slick doo-doo. I ain't gonna lie.
I mean, I get it. He's a champ. I'm not gonna take nothing away from that. But who has he fought really?
Just one guy, Jose Utakatsi. That's it.
Yeah, that's the only guy. That's the only guy he got on his resume, and he kind of struggled with that.
Even that's not. You know, I wouldn't call Jose Utakatsi an elite fighter. No chance.
Exactly. He's about to fight David Benavidez, right?
Yeah, and you know what, Mike? David's about to do a demo job.
Hey, Demo's gonna touch that boy up, bro.
David is he's one of my favorite fighters, man. I love watching David fight.
David, he don't get the credit.
There's videos out there, bro. There's videos out there where David was calling him out to his face for years already, bro. It's been years.
Yeah, exactly. David's been wanting Plant too. That should fight. I think that should happen too. You know what I mean? That's another fight we need to see.
I wish we would have got that a year or two ago. To be honest with you,
real. I just think Plant. I'm gonna get going because I got some stuff to do, but I just think Plant needs to man up, stop letting people in his ear, take the fight, get his money, win or lose. He's gonna definitely lose, but he's gonna win at the same time with 10 mil in the bank. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, defo. I defo agree with that. I think the fight happens.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win situation, exactly.
The fight will happen. The fight will happen. I reckon.
Oh, I think it's gonna happen. They got like a time limit to announce it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the thing is, the reasons that were given aren't good enough reasons for a fight not to happen.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not legitimate reasons, man. They're not like, all right, one guy wants 50 million, or Canelo wants 10, 15 million more. It's not, to say that, if he gets injured, I don't get, I have to wait. That's not neither here neither there.
The demands, people could say the demands are a little outrageous, but bottom line, Canelo is the A side. So for Plant to say on his post or whatever, saying we gave it to him, you're in no position to agree or give nobody nothing.
Bro, look, check this out. After his last fight, there was a pretty big gap that he took off because Canelo had already announced since Callum Smith that he wanted to be undisputed. So Plant knew that he was going to be one of the guys. Right. So for all these people that keep saying that Canelo's ducking, makes no fucking sense because Canelo had already announced.
No sense, man. That's like what makes no sense.
This was my point. But this was my point. So after that fight, I guess he had someone kind of criticize him a little bit, and he said that he hurt his hand, right? Then he went out there. He said he had tests on his hand and that he thought that he broke his hand. So he came back and he had an interview and he said, "Oh, well, yeah, I went to the doctor and they told me that I had ligament damage." Dick, ligament damage means that you had a fucking sprain, bro. You had a sprain. So he used the sprain as an excuse to not risk or fight during that time so that he can wait on Canelo Alvarez. Because if he had to fight, he was either going to have to fight another bum or they were going to ask him to fight Benavidez, which we already know he wasn't going to risk if he has a fucking Canelo fight coming in the way. So he took all that time off. Canelo Alvarez calls him out again right after he beats Billy Joe Saunders. And he tells him, okay, that's the fight I want next. And now people are still saying that supposedly Canelo doesn't want to fight. It doesn't make any sense. No matter how you look at it, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, sleep has been knocked off. I don't know why he's gone off. I don't know what's happened where sleep has gone. But Michael, you in?
Yeah, I'm here. You hear me?
Yeah. You wanted to give your say. I don't know that the stream was playing up, so I couldn't get you on, man. I'm having problems with certain others as well. They're getting knocked off or coming off. I don't know what it is, but yeah, Michael, what did you want to add to this stream?
So I've been hearing a lot about the Canelo's ducking Caleb Plant, right? And I know you've mentioned a few times that some of the things seem slightly ridiculous, right? That Caleb Plant mentioned. One, these things are being mentioned by Caleb Plant. We don't even know if they're true or not, right? Two, if he has the paperwork, why doesn't he just show it instead of saying he has it, right? Three, Canelo Alvarez is the A side, regardless, right? And it's one of those things where it doesn't really matter what's there. It's there for a reason, right? Like the one that says that you have to wait for Canelo, right? Of course you have to wait for Canelo. He's the only one bringing in fans. Like, how ridiculous is it that Caleb Plant would be getting paid $10 million fighting some other bum that he usually fights?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. There's no way it'd make any kind of sense for PBC to pay him that kind of money to fight, even to fight Benavidez or even to fight Charlo. It doesn't make sense because that fight's not gonna. If Plant fights Benavidez, if Plant was to fight Benavidez,
higher risk, lower reward. That's a higher risk and lower reward.
Yeah, actually, exactly. What would he get? 2 million, 2.5 million, if
maybe
guaranteed, if that, right? Let's be optimistic and say he gets 2.5 million guaranteed. I do doubt that. His highest pay, as said, was 750K, right? According to reports, right? Guarantee. So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for him to turn down this fight or for him to be awkward because it's such a big payday. This fight means so much to his legacy because if he beats Canelo, right, it puts Caleb Plant on cloud 9. It puts Caleb Plant. He's the man in boxing. He's the man.
It's kind of like when Floyd beat De La Hoya, right? Like Floyd accepted all the A-side negotiation or the B-side negotiations, right?
Floyd was a star. Floyd was. I know that Floyd obviously wasn't the A side in that fight; he was the B side. But Floyd at that point had a huge name of his own at that time. Caleb Plant's got no name.
Oh, for sure. What I'm saying is that what I'm saying though is if he beats Canelo, he'll have a name, right?
That's why I made that. That's why I made the point that Caleb Plant is he's the only thing he's doing is he's telling us what we already knew. We already knew this. Like you're basically saying you're not the A side. Canelo's the A side, so he's getting all the A side stuff. We already fucking knew this. What we wanted to, what the only thing that's important is what are you going to get paid? Are you going to get paid a lot of money? Yes, you are. Everything else doesn't fucking matter. Unless like if I'm a boxer, unless it's something that pertains to the actual matchup, like someone's trying to fucking drain me, if there's a clause of this, or you know what I mean, then I could understand that. But he's fucking complaining about Canelo getting married, Canelo having a fucking show. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with the actual fight, man? Like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, that shouldn't even matter to you. You know what I mean? You're getting 10. Mike Coppinger said he's getting upwards of 10 million guaranteed. So there's a chance that he's making 10 million guaranteed plus whatever other percentages. He's getting more than 10 million.
Oh yeah. Because whatever it sells, he'll get some percentage of that too.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's crazy, dude. Like, I have
15 million by the end.
Yeah, he might get 15 million. Who knows? Like,
but
and if he loses to Canelo, who cares, right? So what? Nobody's gonna kill him for that.
Yeah, and like you were basically implying, I mean, it's a cash out fight. Not that he's like looking to retire, but I mean, general consensus is Canelo is going to beat him handedly, possibly stop it.
It's the Billy Joe Trust Fund, right? That's exactly what it is. You go off into the sunset with 15 million in your pocket.
But I think a guy like Caleb, and this is what I think. I'm not saying this is fact, but I think Caleb's like I think he believes in his hype. I think he's a bit, for lack of a better term, a bit salty that he's not getting the respect, because he's got to be reading comments where everybody's saying, just go ahead and take the ass whoop and go ahead and hand the belt over, And I think with that, he's already, getting guaranteed, quote unquote, 10 plus. So he feels like he's in some way. I truthfully think deep down he's looking at it like, well, I don't believe I can win this fight, right? So, I mean, and I know as a boxer, you're supposed to, think he can beat anybody, but I really think deep down he's, I don't want to say afraid, but intimidated by Canelo. He's probably looking at it like he is the B-side. He's probably going to lose, and he's probably just trying to, I don't know, man, maybe be a bit greedy with it. Maybe he's holding out thinking he can get more out of it. I really don't know. But I assure you, Canelo's looking to unify. He's looking to go undisputed. That's his mission statement at Super Middle. We all know that. And as far as Canelo ducking Caleb Plant, it's just not true, man. It's not true.
I have a question for you guys. How do you think it would impact Canelo's legacy if he ended up just dropping all the belts and never, like anytime he won a belt from an opponent, he would just drop it and simply just fight the best people? Like, honestly, because I feel like a lot of this stuff comes down to essentially the governing bodies not wanting their belts to be all in one place, because I'm assuming that makes them less money, right?
I don't think Canelo will do that though, because I think he feels the belts are a massive part of the legacy, and that's why he wants to become undisputed. He wants to hold all the belts. So it's not the fact that it would affect his legacy to the fans, because the fans would know Canelo's great, but I think it's more to himself. Rather than the fans. I don't think it makes a difference to the fans, because we know how good Canelo is.
Let me make this point real quick, Imran, just so that people can understand this. Canelo Alvarez, Reynoso manages him, right? So Reynoso is a guy, he's like the historian, right? So he likes to look at history and stuff like that. He knows a lot about history, right? So he's the one that kind of tells Canelo, like, hey, let's make history here. Let's do this. Let's do that. Nobody's done this. Nobody does that. So we know for a fact that not just there hasn't been a Mexican who's been undisputed, but there hasn't been anybody who's been undisputed in that weight class in the history of boxing. So they're chasing that part of the legacy. That's what they're chasing short term, and this is what people are not appreciating about Canelo, right? Is the fact that this dude is trying to do this in a span of a fucking year. In a span of a year, for us fans, that's huge, because what that means is that if he gets rid of that part and he becomes undisputed, that means that we immediately get to see the other fights the following year. So we're going to get to see Benavidez next year. We could get to see Charlo next year. We could get to see Better Beef next year. When any other fighter, let's say it was Floyd Mayweather could have easily said, you know what? I'm going to take one of these fights, fight this dude for that belt, then fight another C-class fighter, fight twice a year, and then the following year, I'll try to get the next belt, and then fight another dude, and then make 2 fights, and then the following year, fight Caleb Plant for the 3rd year. In other words, you would extend the challenge, right? The challenge of being undisputed, you would extend it. Canelo's trying to do this shit in less than a year.
Yeah, it's like
so you months. Have to, right, in 9 months. So you have to, people need to understand, man, that this dude is he's serious about what he's trying to achieve. It's not like he's trying to play around. He's trying to make it, trying to waste his fucking time, dude. So the idea of him ducking Caleb Plant or the statements that Caleb Plant, is making right now, they don't make any sense for either guy. They don't make sense for Canelo Alvarez. There's no point for Canelo to not fight Caleb Plant and then maybe take a harder fight. Like BT was saying, there's harder fights out there. He could fight Better Be. That's a tougher fight. He could fight Bibbo. That's a tougher fight. He could fight Benavidez. That's a tougher fight. So it doesn't benefit him either. So I don't know why he would want to act like a diva. And we already know it doesn't benefit Caleb Plant as well. So if anything, I think he's doing the fans a favor. Canelo's doing the fans a favor for speeding up the process, getting rid of this shit. Next year, he's got he has a Charlo fight. Charlo's not old. He's what? He's the same age as Canelo Alvarez. Benavidez is what? 25, 26. Beterbiev is getting older, but the faster Canelo gets done with the undisputed thing, the faster he's going to get a chance to fight Beterbiev. So it's a win-win for the fans. That's what I don't understand with the I don't know what the fans want. Like, seriously.
I don't really think it's that many people, man, thinking Canelo's ducking. You know, media, man, they pump the shit out. But I really, anybody that knows the sport, man, knows Canelo's not ducking him. But hey, let me switch it up, Imran. If you could pick in any order the next 3 fights after Caleb, if you could see Canelo fight any 3 guys, who would you like to see him fight?
After Caleb, I would like to see him fight Bivol, Beterbiev,
Benavidez.
And Benavidez, yeah, or maybe a Charlo or a Andre, just to
shut some people up. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
See, in my opinion, if he goes for those killer bees there's no way Canelo goes through all 3 of those and not loses to at least one.
You don't think?
I disagree, guys. I don't know. I saw Bivol against Joe Smith Jr. again yesterday, and honestly, he looks good, but he's not like that impressive. Like, he looks. I don't know if it's just I'm not seeing exactly what people are seeing in Bivol, but he looks like a very solid 175 fighter, but he does not look elite, in my opinion, like incredibly elite, like Canelo Alvarez.
I think Benavidez and Bivol, I think he can beat them quite handily. I think the one that would be a problem was Beterbiev. That is a dangerous fight, man.
Yeah, that is a dangerous fight. And I think simply because he has a very similar style to Triple G, right? So
yeah, and he's just bigger and stronger.
It's like a piece of rock coming at you and just pressuring you the entire time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's a horrible matchup. Mike, why do you think him fighting those 3 he won't come out victorious?
And who do you think he might lose to?
Say that again.
Who do you think he might lose to?
I don't think he loses to any of them 3.
No, I'm saying Mike, right?
Mike.
Yeah,
Mike or BT. I mean, BT. You know, you could answer that too. I just think that he's. I look at Benavidez as another 175. So even though he's a 168, he's a massive 168. So I'm looking at it from a perspective as he's really fighting light heavyweights, and he's going through arguably the best. You might even be able to argue that if Benavidez went to 175, he might be the 2nd or the 3rd best light heavyweight, right? Over what's his face? Who's the one?
Zurdo?
No, not Zurdo. Zurdo's barely coming. Zurdo's kind of dangerous, but I don't
know, dude. Zurdo looked good in his last fight.
He did.
Is it Joe? Who's the other dude that has the belt at 175? I forgot his name.
Joe Smith.
Okay, Joe Smith. Like, he might be better than. He's probably better than Joe Smith. So he's going. So that means that he's basically cleaning 175. That's a tough task for me, bro, because there's going to be a close fight somewhere in those fights. It might be a controversial fight. It might be a split decision. It might be a fight where he might get robbed. You know, he's usually the one where people say he's the one that's robbing people. He might get robbed, you know, or he might get knocked out. He might get hurt. See, my biggest thing with Canelo, the thing that I've always questioned about him, and Imran's brought it up many times, is that there's just something about his stamina, bro, that makes me question, you know, whether Canelo can hang with these 175s, bro. That's the thing. I think if we're talking about skill set, if we're talking about IQ, if we're talking about, you know, physicality, power, and all that, I think Canelo has that. But the stamina, if you don't have gas, bro, none of that matters. And in my opinion, these are the type of dudes that could potentially push Canelo Alvarez to the brink, to where, you know, as you get to the later rounds, the more tired you get, right, you start falling off, you start getting slower, your power starts to decline, and these 175 guys, they stay the same, bro. They stay the same.
The thing, I don't think it's so much of a problem for anyone aside from Beterbiev, because Canelo seems to get tired only when he's on the back foot and you're pressing, right? You're just pressing the entire time.
I agree with Michael. I think Beterbiev is the only one that's be able to push him back. I don't know whether Benavidez and Bivol are physically strong enough and to push him back. That's the question. I know Beterbiev is strong enough.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. You guys don't think since we're talking about boxers, let's say Bivol, you guys don't think that Canelo kind of slowed down a little bit in the Jacobs fight, the second part of the fight?
Yeah, he did.
But
For me, it seemed like a little bit. Go ahead, BT.
I don't know that it was. I was just going to say I don't know that it was him being tired though. I think it was more cruise control.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I think he was just practicing a lot, right? Because we had never seen that head movement from him in a while, right? So he was just trying something new, right? In my opinion, like I think he didn't see Jacobs as a big challenge when he got in there with him, so he started trying new things, right? Like the head movement. And of course, if you're doing that much head movement the entire fight, you're gonna get tired. It seemed like a good portions of those fights, he was just testing his defense, right? Like he was just, all right, I'm gonna practice my slips, my rolls, right? And he was doing an incredible job, and I think that wore him out a little bit, right?
I would agree with Mike though. I don't think that was an impressive performance by Canelo, the Jacobs one. That was a close fight, and I don't think Jacobs is that great that Canelo should be having. Like, fair enough, Golovkin, fair enough, and I know Jacobs gave Golovkin a good fight, but I still think I expected Canelo to dominate that fight, and I thought Canelo would win a lot more convincingly than he did. It wasn't a great performance.
I thought personally, I thought it was a very good performance. I don't know. I'm not sure how to put it. I just kind of feel like when I see Canelo fight, I feel like he can do a little bit more. So I didn't think that the fight was that close. I thought he beat Daniel Jacobs clearly. It was maybe close in terms of the scorecards. You know, you probably could have had it, 116, 112, maybe 115, 113 max, right? But I thought it was clear. I didn't think it was that close or that competitive. But when I look at Canelo though, I'm looking at the later rounds and I'm thinking to myself, dude, why aren't you going for the kill here? Or why aren't you being a little bit more aggressive? Why aren't you? Yeah, like I feel like he sometimes takes his foot off the pedal. And I want to see more consistency. I want him to feel. I want him to finish the fights in a stronger fashion, bro. And I just think killer instinct. Right. And I feel that I don't know if it's because he's taking his foot off the pedal or because maybe he is gassing out a little bit. And if you're gonna do that shit and you're fighting against bigger dudes, that's not a recipe to dominate or to win, bro. Clearly, and a guy, I feel like Canelo's at the point of his career, man, where even a close fight, even if we all agree that he won the fight, any fight that's close, they're gonna say that the guy got robbed. They're gonna say that the guy got robbed.
Yeah, because I'd be hearing people saying that Danny Jacobs beat Canelo, and that's
bro. I heard
fucking blind because that did not happen.
Say Cotto. I heard people say Cotto got robbed.
That was I think Canelo won that.
Yeah, it gets pretty wild. I've heard
it was a damn good fight though. Hey, Cotto did his thing. I was proud for him in that fight because that was an older, that was a great fight, man.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was.
Cotto was sick, bro. I love Cotto.
Me too. He's one of my top 10 favorites all time.
Cotto really made that fight close. That was a close fight. I like that fight. Cotto.
Yeah, so it almost seemed like Cotto had like a fucking like a second wind or something, bro. He looked better than fucking 2-3 years before, bro. Like the way he was moving. Yeah. I don't know if it was Freddie Roach because he was saying that Freddie Roach is like the best trainer he's ever had, that he felt like rejuvenated. So that was a pretty sharp Cotto. That was just Canelo was just too big, bro. And Canelo was at that point. He was also growing, bro, at that point. Canelo was getting better and better and better, and Cotto was, he was already, on his way out. So
I do think it was Freddie Roach because I don't know if you guys remember when Manny Pacquiao essentially got destroyed by Morales, right? The first fight. Right. He came back, and then he had Freddie in his corner. And he just pummeled Eric, right? Like the second fight was bad for Eric, right? So
it was.
I think it might be the Freddie Roach effect.
The third fight was the one that was horrible. The second fight, Morales. The second fight looked almost like the first fight, and then Morales just died the fuck out by the 10th round, and he couldn't even get up at that point.
Oh yeah, okay, you're right.
The third fight was a disaster, bro. The third fight, I think he knocked him out like 4 or 5 rounds or something like that.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick fight, that one. But back to what you're saying, Mike, on the Canelo Alvarez gassing situation. I honestly think it's one of those things where like he's fighting such good opponents that like once he gets ahead, it's like, do you really want to get in danger where they potentially knock you out, right? So I think it could be possibly a strategy thing by his team. Once you get ahead, just don't go out there trying to kill someone, because like you might get killed. Like he's fighting killers, so like Danny Jacobs might be able to put his lights out with the left hook. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I know he hit him with that really nice left hook, but if it landed flush, right, like he might put him down, and that just changed the entire dynamic of the fight. So it might be one of those things. Once you get ahead and you feeling comfortable, right, then you can just be defensive. Don't get in situations where you're brawling with the guy because you might get knocked out.
Yeah, and you know, Mike, to add to what you were talking about, I think I'll give you an example. You know, Canelo's so skilled, and he's so like what's the word? Sure of his skill, that I think like he was just saying, you know, he can cruise through a fight, and if he knows he's winning, you know, he doesn't have to take those chances to stop the guy, because he believes in his speed, his reflexes, counterpunch, and all that. But you take a guy like, you know, Terrence Crawford, for example. He was born with a mean streak, right? He's got that mean streak in him. And I don't think I think Errol has a little bit of that too, that mean streak, that wanting to just like literally dominate and finish, you know, because you got guys who are great fighters, but they're not great at what's the word I'm looking for? Finishing guys.
Right.
There you go. You know, they can box your ears off, but they can't put you away. So I think Canelo, he may fit on that, you know, fit in that area.
He's calculated. Canelo's calculated. He's methodical in the way he goes about, like, you know, the way he fights.
I think he's very respectful too as a fighter, right? Like I feel like sometimes like when he's battering like a guy, I feel like he feels a little bit bad, right? Like I feel like he took his foot off the gas against Callum Smith. I feel like he's like, do I need to keep destroying this guy, right? Like,
for sure, I think he did that against Cotto because he had mad respect for Cotto. Matter of fact, he told Cotto in one of the interviews, one of the pre-fight interviews that they had on ESPN Deportes, where he was saying like he was like one of his idols. You know, he was a guy that he looked up to and shit. So I could see that happening, maybe, you know, with a guy like Cotto. But I just think it's more so the fact that that's his style. You know, he calculates, he's methodical in the way he fights, and sometimes I don't know. Sometimes it's hard for me to kind of like gauge, because I mean, I've been following Canelo, bro, since he was in his teens, because he's actually he's from a city where my parents are from. Like he's like 15 minutes away from the town. So it's not even the city, but the fucking town where he's from. So we had heard about him before he even became a star, right? So I've always known that he's had stamina issues, bro. Like since I can remember. If anything, if I had to choose one weakness, or like his biggest weakness, it would be that, in my opinion.
I would agree.
If Canelo had fucking Manny Pacquiao or Salvador Sanchez type of fucking stamina, forget about it, bro. He'd be a fucking he'd probably be a better finisher. Kind of like ST was saying, he'd probably be a better finisher because he'd be relentless in his approach. But I think that he's developed a style where he's kind of like a counter puncher, and even when he pressure fights, he kind of like stalks you, you know. So he doesn't put hardcore pressure on you like a Triple G, who's like just on top of you all the time. He kind of pressures you, but kind of like a fucking shark, right? Where he's like stalking you little by little, and then he picks his shots in the way he counter punches. And I think he developed this style to a certain extent because maybe they saw that he wasn't like a super energetic guy, and that's kind of a way of him operating so that he could conserve himself in a way as well.
Yeah, quite honestly, I don't know how like athletically inclined you guys are or how much exercise you guys do, but some of these guys that are quite big in muscle mass, like very stocky, like Canelo is, and very quick, like very explosive, their muscles tire out quicker, like their entire is because they're using so much power when they're hitting some of these shots, right? And that's what I've noticed about people with that body type, very quick, explosive guys, right? They'll wear out quickly.
For sure. Genetically, they're built different. Just the same thing happened with Joshua. You guys notice how Joshua lost a bunch of the weight, especially when he fought Andrew Reese the second time? Because of stamina. Because he wanted to remove or wanted to lean out and not carry that much muscle. It's common sense. So that's why sometimes when you see people even accuse other boxers of like using certain performance enhancing drugs like to get bigger or stronger, it's stupid too, because it's counterproductive and shit. You know, if you want to use a drug, what you really want to use is you want to use something like EPO or something that's going to give you a shitload of stamina or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the problem with Canelo, you know.
But to my point, I feel like not everyone can push him to that edge, right? Only people with a style like Beterbiev can, right? Because someone who's quick, slick, he'll just wait for his openings. He'll just wait, right, and then he'll take them, right? But someone like Beterbiev is, and not Canelo, sorry, and Golovkin, they're forcing him to do things that he wouldn't otherwise be doing, right? And I think that's when the issues come in, right? When someone's just pressing him the entire time, forcing him to do things that are not in his game.
Oh no, they've Steven. I'm having
what happened, man?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm having problem with the stream, man. They keep kicking him off and coming back. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, man. Steven, what do you make of this whole situation, man? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think this fight will happen or not? Or I don't know if I've already asked you this question, or I can go on to a Beterbiev question.
Yeah. You already asked that, and so go ahead.
Beterbiev.
Okay.
Beterbiev. Is that the kind of fight that pushes Canelo to the brink and pushes him to the edge and tires him?
Oh hell yeah, Beterbiev. Yeah, man. Beterbiev. All right, Beterbiev, as you would say, Beterbiev, man. He's gonna be one of his toughest fights, man, today, man, because Beterbiev is gonna bring that power. It's not gonna be like the punches that Amir Khan was throwing. It's gonna be some hard felt punches to that face and to that gut of his. He's gonna push
be like Golovkin. Do you know what I mean? He's gonna have meat on those punches.
Word up. It's gonna be bad for him. But so you've been having issues with the stream?
Yeah. So basically, he keeps kicking him off. Makai, I can't get him back on. I don't know. I think it's probably sometimes it happens, in the glitch in the stream. But yeah, it just happens sometimes, unfortunately. But yeah, I think next time, I think it'll be. I'm gonna get it checked. I'm gonna message them just to see what's going on with this thing. Sometimes it's just it's just one of those things.
Yeah, I think I think another good fight for Canelo is gonna be Bivol.
Yeah,
I think Bivol's.
Though.
You say what?
I think he beats Bivol.
No, I don't think he beats Bivol.
No,
Bivol. How could you say that? Bivol's a better boxer than Beterbiev.
Yeah, but Bivol's style doesn't really cause Canelo that much trouble anymore. He's a slick guy, a good boxer. I think Beterbiev's the guy. He's a better boxer, yes. Beterbiev's a good boxer that can push Canelo back.
Nah, I don't see him beating Bivol. I see him beating Beterbiev before he beats Bivol, and that's real talk. Because you know what, man? If Canelo gets in there with somebody that's slick boxer, that's sound defensively and can take a punch, it's a bad deal for him. Michael said he's back, and Mike said he's back, and Makai did
that's
too.
What I mean. Some of them I can't click the button, man. It won't let me.
Yeah, man, but nah, man. Beterbiev, he's Beterbiev. You get me saying Beterbiev. It's the same thing, right? But yeah, he's gonna be a tough fight for Canelo, man. He might even now, if Canelo gets knocked out, he might be the one to do it.
Who, Beterbiev?
Yeah, Beterbiev.
What do you say, Michael? Beterbiev. I mean, do you think Beterbiev is the man?
I think Canelo takes everyone at 175.
Wow.
I think the one that, honestly, I think the only one that would give him problems is Beterbiev because of the stamina issues.
These people are crazy, man. There's something going on. It's something in the water.
I'm not saying that like he won't have any troubles. I'm saying I personally think he'll win all the fights.
Listen, Canelo's not even at 175. Come on, get a grip.
I know he's not at 175. I just think he's just so much more elite than the guys fighting at 175. Okay.
Have you think? Go ahead. Go ahead.
It's like when you saw Manny Pacquiao fighting at lower weight classes. And then you saw people above his weight class. You can see, like, I think Manny Pacquiao can beat these guys, right? It's the same thing.
I'm gonna do this right now, right here, right now. And I did want to do it, but I'm gonna have to add them into it. The Canelo fans, they are in the same. I'm officially declaring that they are in the same class as the Manny Pacquiao fans and the Floyd Mayweather fans.
Well, look, this is the thing. This is the thing. I think there's some people who try to shy away. There's some people who try to shy away from greatness, and other people who see greatness, and they understand what it can do, right? And I think Canelo is one of those great fighters that, regardless if you're not a fan of him, you can see greatness, and you can see that he likely will beat most of these guys.
There's no way on God Green's earth I'm gonna say that Canelo beats everybody at 175 where he's not. He ain't even fought at 175.
He fought Kovalev.
I'm talking.
I'm knocked out Kovalev.
I'm talking recent, and I know Aaron was saying that Kovalev was washed up, this, that, and third. I mean, we can't say that Kovalev was washed up, this, that, and third. But let's face it. If you watch that Kovalev fight with him and Canelo, Kovalev was altogether a totally different person.
Was he a champion?
He wasn't even remote. He's not even remotely the same guy that was fighting Andre Ward. Let's get a grip, man. It's okay to love
Was he a champion? Was he a champion? Yes or no?
Me personally, I love Manny Pacquiao. I love Manny Pacquiao. My kids, my wife, everybody knows I'm Manny Pacquiao, but I'm not delusional. At the end of the day, I'm realistic. He hasn't fought at 175 enough to say he can stand up toe to toe with guys that are like with the likes of Better Beef. You seen Better Beef fight?
I've seen.
You seen him fight?
I've seen him get knocked down too.
So I'm just saying, man, we got to bring some balance to this, man, because it's kind of haywire, man. It's haywire. It's got to do with haywire.
So are you gonna come back on here and apologize to once Canelo moves up and beats another elite 175 pounder?
What's your name? Michael. I'm gonna say where's Michael at? You come through, and I'm gonna say, listen, I owe you all the kudos, man. I owe you all the kudos,
Steven.
But today, Michael, I can't do it. I'm not gonna. I can't say you.
That's okay. We have a difference of opinion, and I think that's fine to have. That's fine to do. I have a question for you two.
Yeah, go ahead.
Out of the 175 pounders, list them out from 1 to like 3. Who poses the biggest threat to Canelo?
Beterbiev, Bivol, and Joe Smith. The champion.
Certainly not Joe Smith. You know, I like Joe Smith, but I think Joe Smith is not as sound as Better Beef, and he's not as powerful as Better Beef. He's a little more powerful than Bivol, but he's definitely not in the same class boxing wise as Bivol. I say Bivol is going to give him the he's going to lose to Bivol. He'll lose to Bivol.
Wow.
He'll lose, and he might get knocked out by Better Beef.
Wow. Steven, I can't see him losing to Bivol, man.
Steven, did you not see Bivol fight like Joe Smith, bro?
I seen Bivol. I think that's one of my favorite fights.
Forget Bivol fought last against Craig Richards. Looked poor, man. He didn't look great in his last fight.
You know another thing y'all do, man. Another thing y'all do is this happens all the time. The last performance, you see it, and
no, that's not what I'm doing. I was trying to steel man you. I was looking at his best fight, and he still didn't look that impressive.
Okay, all right. Let me just say this, man. Another thing I see that's prominent is the last fight these guys fight, and if they aren't world beaters, if they ain't knocking a guy's tooth out his mouth and down his throat and ripping his heart out like Shang Tsung off of Mortal Kombat, then y'all say, well, you know what? He just didn't look as strong. Listen, man. Every fight from fight to fight is different. It's different. You know, every fight from this fight to the next fight is different. The opponent's different. The styles are different. That is what makes Canelo great. It's because Canelo he's not been rattled by that. He's been adjusting. I see that's what somebody that's unbiased or somebody who's fair in his assessment could do. I could say Canelo is the top of the heap. Why? Because he's a machine now. He's a well-oiled machine. But I can't say, and I ain't gonna tell you that he's gonna knock he'll clear out 175. I can't do
could
that.
He though? That's the thing, Stephen. Could he?
It's possible.
But
it's
that's
possible.
what we're saying.
That's all we're saying.
It's possible.
And
that's what I mean. I'm saying it's possible that Beterbiev knocks him out. It's possible that Bivol outboxes him. But what we're saying is they're 50-50 fights, and that's what we want to see, right?
Yeah, 50-50 fight. Yeah.
Because at 168, I think you would agree that Canelo isn't going to lose to those guys at 168.
Nah, it's not very likely, man. Sadly enough. You know, I would like to see, you know, Caleb Plant, you know, get his stuff together, man. Go back to Al Heyman and the rest of the PBC camp and say, hey, listen, I'm trying to prove something to these people, man. I really don't care too much about the money. You know, now I ain't gonna take, you know, less than what I'm worth. Give me 10 million. Give me 10 million. Let me get in there and see what I can do. Let's mix it up with them. Let's see what happens. And hopefully Canelo ain't tripping. Hopefully him and his camp ain't tripping off of nothing. They can make that fight, because I would like to see that fight. You know, I'm not gonna be like the rest of the guys that say that Caleb Plant is trash. That's the synopsis right now. The synopsis is that Caleb Plant is trash. You know, he ain't even in the same. He don't even belong in the same ring as Canelo. But I don't necessarily believe that. I want to give him a try. You know, I want to give him a try as a boxing fan.
The only thing to say about that, Stephen, like I don't disagree with you, but the only thing I slightly want to remind you is that the reason people say that is because Caleb Plant hasn't fought anyone. I can look good against a fucking kid if I fight him, right? Yeah. That's essentially what a good fighter is, fighting D-level fighters. And of course he can look elite. Doesn't mean he's actually elite. He's fighting terrible fighters, right? It's only when you show that against other elite fighters that people can see you as a great fighter and that you have a chance to stand against people like Canelo Alvarez. Right?
Yeah, I want to see the fight, but you know, hey Michael, I agree with you, man. I ain't gonna, man. You spend some real ish right there. You spend some real ish. I like to see that fight made at this point. I mean, because even if Caleb Plant comes out with the loss, with the L, at least he got that experience of being in there with a great Hall of Fame, you know, one of the greatest fighters that we've seen in the last 25 years. You know, Canelo Alvarez, Saul Canelo Alvarez. Even if he comes out, I mean, you know, a loss to Canelo is not a loss. So any one of them guys are going to benefit by fighting them. Don't you say so, Imran?
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think losing to Canelo, there's no shame in that. I think you get a huge payday. You get a lot of experience, then you can come again. But obviously, I feel like a lot of these guys, the problem I have with a 160, 168, a lot of these guys are just hanging out for that Canelo payday rather than fighting each other. Like at 160 right now, Golovkin should be fighting. Golovkin's going to fight Murata, it looks like. But Charlo should be fighting Andrade. Benavidez should be fighting Plant. And that's not happened. They're all waiting for that Canelo payday.
And I'm a stick fast. And I'm a stick steady and steadfast to my opinion that they need to, you know, and I'm not saying that they need to have just one global overseeing entity that oversees boxing, but I'm saying they need to structure some deals and some operational deals in place to where these guys have to be fighting. And I ain't just talking about like throwaway mandatories. They had to be fighting each other. If I got a belt, and if Mike got a belt, and if Imran got the UK belt, I'm coming to see Imran, and then after that, I'm coming to see Mike and Michael, and that's because I have to. You know, it's they need to take it out the fighter's hands and make it a matter of necessity. you have to fight. I gotta go see Imran. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, if Imran beats me, he gotta go see Michael. You feel what I'm saying, Michael?
Yeah, there needs to be a way to I don't know, there needs to be a better way of putting these fighters against each other. And maybe once someone becomes undisputed, maybe it could be like the fucking Dragon Balls where they all fucking disperse and everyone has to fucking fight for them in a tournament again, right? Something like that, right? Where it doesn't allow people to just fucking puppy guard belts like Caleb Plant is and just sit there and not fight anyone meaningful, right? It's terrible.
It's horrible. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. And then you know, I might say hypocritical in saying this, but Caleb Plant, he can't feel any way about any type of criticism that he's getting. If we see, I mean, you got us all juiced up, everybody, you know, had, you know, got their mouths already. We was ready to taste that fight, and then you snatch it away from us. What we supposed to do? And now here today, July 28th, we sitting here arguing about Canelo and you know his worth and this. You know, we already know his worth. We already know Canelo's great. But they took it from us, Michael, and I'm pissed off about it. Ain't you, Imran?
Yeah, I'm annoyed, man. I'm annoyed with boxing. I'm annoyed with boxing that we can't get these big fights on. It always seems to it feel like, you know, it's like a bit like, you know, giving the bread to a fish and then putting it on a hook and away.
Yeah,
that's how we boxing fans are. Like we just go with it, man. It got taken away from us, didn't it?
Yeah, man. Tired of it.
Yeah, and we had like 3 fights this year just fall through for no reason.
It's terrible.
It's not good. It's not good for the sport. It's one of those things where you see why more people don't like boxing, right? And
now, you know, they you know you know, they got, you know, COVID back on the, you know, back full steam. Everybody dying from Delta now, and I don't even know. You know, I already bought my tickets for Vegas to go see Earl Spence and Manny Pacquiao, and I don't even know that's gonna go through now.
How much were those tickets, by the way, Steven?
Well, I just bought the tickets for the hotel room and the stay and stuff. I ain't got the ticket to fight yet. But
have you looked at the prices?
No, I ain't even looked at them, man. I ain't even looked at them. You know anything about the pricing?
Nah, I'm assuming they're probably gonna be probably like the top ones, like 200 pop, probably like the shitty ones. Of course, you can get $10,000 ones up front, but
yeah,
it's expensive as hell.
You gonna try to go?
I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about going to the Canelo fight, but
where's that gonna be?
My assumption was Vegas, but
see,
they might end up going to Texas. I'm from Seattle.
Okay, Seattle, yeah. So you on the West Coast?
Yeah, West Coast. What about you?
I'm from Oklahoma City.
Oh, cool. Oh, you're pretty close to those areas, huh?
Like in the middle, you know.
You can go to Texas. You can fly to Texas in like less than an hour, right? And see the Canelo fights when he goes to Texas. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, man. You know, Texas is like what, 2 hours away? We go to Dallas all the time. So
yeah, it's one of those things where honestly, if Caleb Plant doesn't fight Canelo, he should be mandated to fight
Benavidez.
He has to. And I honestly think the only reason he made that broken hand comment was to avoid Benavidez. He was talking shit to Benavidez, right? So he essentially just said, "Oh, my hands are broken," which they weren't, right? Just simply so he can, you know, buy time and have an excuse in between fighting Canelo Alvarez, right? Because he just wanted to get to the Canelo Alvarez payday. That's all he wanted to do at that point.
Right.
And then how do you keep saying like stuff like it's only 7 weeks out? You should be fucking training already. You know Canelo wants that belt, right? And he's always, I don't know if you guys saw that comment that he made the other day where he said something like that he always stays in the gym and Canelo Alvarez doesn't. It's like, okay, then what are you complaining about then, right? Like there's nothing to complain about a short notice if you're in the gym all the time. Like,
yeah, I feel you, man.
Yeah, guys, just a quick one before we leave. So, what your gut feeling, Stephen? Who's Canelo fighting next?
Give
Give a
I'm
prediction.
gonna say my prediction is gonna be Caleb Plant. I think they're gonna iron it out. I think they'll come to the senses and know that they kind of set us up for the fight and everybody's suspecting it. And I think he'll ultimately fight Caleb Plant, knock him out, and then go fight Bitter B and get knocked out.
Fair enough. Michael, your prediction. What do you think happens?
I would probably have to go with Plant as well. If that doesn't happen, my assumption is likely Bivol. But honestly, it'd be nice if like Charlo was not bullshitting and they actually sent him a contract and he kind of goes through the process and then Charlo gets knocked out by Canelo. I think I'd like to see him shut up a lot of people, right? Like it's that part.
I don't think Jamal Charlo won on the Canelo, man.
Oh, I don't think so either. But I'm just saying, like, I hope that's the case. So we actually see there's levels to this game, and Canelo is at the top of those levels. Like there is no, like there might be other people who might be able to challenge them, like Beterbiev. But in the 60, 68 divisions, no one can touch Canelo.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Maybe Golovkin. What do you think about Golovkin?
Golovkin? Yeah. Oh well, he has some really good fights with him, right? But I think just he's too old now. I think honestly, if they fought again, I think Canelo would probably knock him out. But also he has an amazing chin, right? So it might just be something where he just embarrasses him for the third fight. Like he's just too old now.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. Guys, I'm gonna leave it here. Thanks, Stephen, Michael, Mike, Makai. I'm sorry about the stream playing up and some of you not being able to get on. I thank everyone in the chat. I appreciate everyone coming on. And guys, we'll do this one again probably Friday or something, and we'll go into it. Let's see. Hopefully by then the fight might be done. We may hear that the fight's been signed. Hopefully, and it gets done for September. But thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Michael. Makai, everybody that joined the chat. I appreciate it.
It's nice talking to you, Mike.
Hey.
Yeah, thanks. What was that, Steven?
I said it was nice talking to you. Nice meeting you.
Oh, nice meeting you guys as well.
Come
I'll
on,
probably catch up later.
Whenever you want. Whenever you're on, come on. Steven's a regular now, man. Everyone's got used to Steven.
I was trying to come in last time with that fucking Christian guy. That Christian guy talking some nonsense, in my opinion. Like, I really wanted to come on then. Like,
I thought Christian made some. He made some good points from his side of the thing. You know what I mean? Like Steven mentioned something while he was on that. You've got to give other people, just because you don't agree with something, that doesn't mean that he's wrong.
Here's the thing, Iman. You can make points very eloquently without them being correct, right? Without them having, like, you can say something very structurally and then mess up the conclusion, right? It happens all the time in science. It happens all the time everywhere, right? So he is very good at structuring things, but I think he comes to the wrong conclusions, in my opinion. Some of the things he said kind of were like, okay, so you're talking about resumes, but like every time they mention a fighter that you like's resume, you're like, oh, I don't care about resumes. Right. So it's one of those things where I feel like, he has a very good structured approach and he knows about boxing. I just think he simply comes to the wrong conclusions a lot of the times, at least from what he was saying during the live stream.
Fair enough. I think a lot of people were getting triggered in the side, man. They weren't happy. Yeah. They were not happy, man. But that Steven said, man, you've got to be open-minded as a fan. You've got to accept that there's going to be people that don't agree with what you think and see things differently. Come
on, man. He was saying Canelo was basic, like.
Yeah, he did say that.
Like he was saying nonsense sometimes, like, and I think one of the other ones was like, I think he was talking about another great fighter that's really good. He was saying they're not good. Like, it's just like, okay.
Golovkin, I think.
Yeah, it was Golovkin. Yeah, it's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, it's a style that he might not appreciate, but it obviously dominates because GG is going to go down as one of the best middleweights of all time.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
If not the best middleweight of all time, the dude's a beast.
Yeah, I'd agree. I just think everyone should be entitled to their opinion, right, Steven?
Oh yeah, man, most definitely, man.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone's entitled to be wrong as well, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I just think that we should be open-minded. Let everyone give their point of view, even if I wanted to get Christian on, and fair play to him. He came on and gave his point of view. because he's been messaging me, and he's well structured in his analytical, grammatically sending me messages as well. And he's broke down the fight and Golovkin as well, Golovkin fight with Andrade. So like I said, obviously he has his opinion and he sees things his way, but not necessarily wrong, because Andrade could outbox Golovkin and Canelo. We just don't know. We just don't know. Like I said, it's an opinion. I don't think so. I think Canelo beats him. But at the end of the day, I've seen bigger upsets than Andrade beating Canelo in the sport of boxing and in sport in general. So it wouldn't shock me. Do you know what I mean? Do you see where I'm coming from?
I see where you're coming from. Those usually come via knockout, though, right? Like,
yeah. Not necessarily. What do you call it? Did Lloyd Honeyghan stop Don Curry? I can't remember. No, was it a points win? What about Fury Klitschko?
Yeah,
that was a huge upset at the time.
Yeah, that was. But also, Klitschko was fairly old at the time already, right? Like,
but did you think Fury was going to beat him?
No. But I didn't know too much about them because I was an American at the time. I was a lot younger, and I was an American fan, right? Most of American boxing, so I did not know a lot about Russian and European fighters. So for me, it was not like, oh, I know this guy's going to win versus this guy, right? At that time, I was kind of uneducated in international boxing, and I didn't know a lot about it. So for me, I didn't really have a strong opinion. I watched it, and I mean, it was a really good fight, but I just didn't know how elite they were, right? I just knew that Klitschko was just dominating the boxing game for a long time, so it was an impressive one.
Yeah, I mean, me being, I'm an old school boxing guy. I mean, just my whole entire life, man. I've been watching boxing, so I had that love, for the Klitschko brothers. I loved everything about them. Loved the jab, the super jab. They had going. I love the little exchanges they had with Lennox Lewis. Remember Lennox Lewis? You know about him?
Yeah, Lennox. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So
you guys would consider him the best British, fucking superweight. What the fuck am I saying? The best heavyweight of all time, right?
Mm-hmm. I think he to me, he's the best British boxer of all time. Even over Joe Calzaghe.
He is,
Over Joe? Joe was nasty. I've gone back and watched some of his fights, right? And dude's good.
Joe was nasty. Good.
Yeah, I would say that. Lennox and Joe, yeah.
I got Lennox over Joey because
I've got Lennox over Joe.
Remember he came back and knocked out Asim Rockman?
Yeah. He beat Mike Tyson. He beat Evander Holyfield. He beat everyone, man. He beat everyone. Them all. Lennox was a bad dude, man. He was a bad dude. He's a bad dude. A bad dude. But yeah, guys, man, I appreciate it. Stephen, Michael. Yo, man. Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it, man. Really good speaking to you guys, man.
Yeah, you too, Imran. All right. Thank you for having us. Peace.
Take care, Stephen. Take care, Mike. Take care to everyone in the chat.
All right, man.
I'll see you guys on Friday. Yeah, right, cool to you, Stephen. Well, see everyone. Take care, and I'll speak to you all. On Friday. Joe Calzaghe was from Wales. Take care, everyone. Everyone in the chat. There's a load of yous. Bye to everybody. Take care, and I'll see you guys soon, man. See you to everyone. Take care.